On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, well, I hope you're ready to go because the raid siren is going up, well, for us, literally in like 2.5 hours, 2:20. But, be ready for that balloon to go up. Hi, I'm one of your hosts. I am Catgirl Omega. With me, as always, Dragon Rider Lucky.
I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka not your normal night raids. And while we here at Studio Omega like to bring you the latest FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for both the JP and EA version of the game. So anyone not wanting spoilers should really not try getting into understanding the syncretism around Tamamo no Mai's lore. It's a little bullshit.
There's a deep, dark, conspiracy board hole there that we won't get into right now. Also, hey, if you've been, locked up at work all day or something, and are not caught up on the current story, even though it's only 4 pips, we will probably be talking about some of that later, so once again, that spoiler warning, it's real. It's true facts. We're not joshing you. It'll come up. But well before that, we have many other segmentos to go through, starting with thanking our patrons, because this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Adam Hart, Blacklist OG, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, Fight Icebird, Jeremy Vasquez, JDV9000, Just the Fae, Jonathan Sandoval, Starlight, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, Charvor, Shampire, some guy named Bob, and Varian the Crow. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. Get access to episodes early, lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. Thank you for your support, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, indeedy. As we go into the bees and the knees of bees. Well, since we don't want to linger over long just in case, because there will be buttons to click and text to read before we can raid up, I'm sure. We're going to continue with our regularly scheduled programming. Let me close that tab that I don't need anymore, and we'll go straight into checking in with everybody's favorite gun-toting kohai, Mash.
Senpai, 起きてください.
Because it's time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai, regular segment for Pro Tips. This is a reminder that's actually relevant. Hey, BT dubs. If you're hunting down, your servants with demonic beast bonuses. Reminder, as reported by our Discord earlier, Kyokoyo is only a demonic beast in Ascension 1, the T-Rex one. Kiara is only a demonic beast in Ascension 3, the one where she's actually a mermaid. No, being a cop does not make you a demonic beast. So, configure your parties and your support setup accordingly. Also, as, a subtweet in this note, don't forget that, any, special story bonuses that apply to Demonic Beast servants do apply to Koyan of Light. She's just not a bonus unit, funnily enough. So, she doesn't get the bond up or the damage bonus, but if you want to use her, she does get the story effects where she takes less damage and stuff. It's funny, I know.
I ain't been using mine.
Yeah. Well, hey, she's Buster support, and you know who's a really good unit for this event? Ibuki.
Ibuki.
Yeah. My Ibuki is already flexing and will probably continue to do that throughout the whole thing. But alright, that means it's time for Records from the Throne, our regular achievement topic. Do you want to go first, or should I go first?
You go first, please.
Okay. From a very humble reporting, I just want to let you know we got some extra Saint Courts. There was the bonuses from the stream and the video, which we'll talk about later, but also that day's daily, advent calendar drop was 9 SQ, so I was like, okay, we're getting a lot from the story event. I can afford one singular 10-spin. I did one singular 10-spin. I got exactly one copy of each new CE. I am taking my W and going home. We're not doing any more. That's it. I'll take one of each. And that's me's.
That's Sims. So, for me, as a whole, I got MP3 Taigon Wong, Nemo, Nikki, and more MLB event CEs than I can equip. I also got an MP5 Estrella, as well as a few others for rare prisms. Taigon's Wong Smile has been protected. So, we're gonna go over to Not All the World's Evil, but damn close. Cause I only wanted one thing from this event, from this rolling. I only wanted one thing. I knew they were both permanent, and I figured it wouldn't be that hard. I just wanted a Nikki. Just one singular 4-star rider. I got a Nemo, which I was not upset about. I've been wanting a Nemo. It was a spook, but guess what? It was probably the best spook I can ask for. I got 3 Taigon Wongs. I got 2 Hercs. I got a Fion. I got an Estrella. I have 2 MLB of the 5-star CE. I have 4 or 5 of the 4-star CE MLB. I have 6 or 7 of the 3-star Event CE, MLB. I only got one Nikki. I have one Nikki, and it cost me $450 to get her. That's bullshit.
That is pretty bullshit. It's obviously not the same ratio because it was many years ago and I ran out of free money before I could spend. But that does remind me of the saga of getting the Tomos, where it's just like, I just want one 4-star. How hard is that?
Why was that so hard?
And the hole just keeps going.
Like I said, once I hit my I always consider about two big packs to be about where I should normally get what I want normally, whether it be like CEs or just one. After that is when I start feeling the diminishing returns. But fucking 5 packs for a permanent S. Or this Lucky was just like, I was just dead this morning, just like, why'd I do that? Ugh. This is why I don't go gambling, like literal gambling. I'm like, no, that'd be horrible. Ugh. Anyway, that's it for Not All the World Evil. I hope everyone else had got way better rolls than I did. If you did, don't tell me. Don't you fucking dare tell me. I'm going to get mad with jealousy and I'm gonna blow someone up. Ugh. I'm gonna go back to playing Dave the Diver now.
He's diving.
I'm diving.
Banners are rough. Anyway, hey, if you're not doing anything this holiday weekend, check out us stream Alan Wake 2 possibly for the last time, and maybe hit up our backlog. Once we're done, I'm going to make an Alan Wake playlist so you can watch all of them. Including, I'll dig up, I think all of our Alan Wake Remastered are still up. That was several years ago now, but anyway. The watch time, the hours. Because they're supporting us on Patreon. It's got to be a new year. But okay. That means it's time to go from records and evils and ask, did you finish your master missions? So, this week, to complete your master missions, you're going to need to defeat 15 beast-type enemies. Enemies with the little beast trait. Defeat 15 demonic enemies. Defeat 3 lawful servants. Defeat 3 chaotic servants. Do 5 quests with a caster in your party. And get 15 EXP drops. If you are able to do the raids, you will clear this by doing your due diligence on raids. I'm pretty sure the first raid boss covers, like, almost all of these. Though you will have to put a caster in your party, which is a little counterintuitive, but yeah. If not, consider grabbing some of your dailies real quick before it expires. But yeah, it should not be too hard to get into these master missions. Which means we can move on to Skelograms. The grams that are the skellies.
Skeletons.
They're spooky seasonal skeletons. By the way, somebody has to have done a dumb Christmas remix of Spooky Scary Skeletons, right? Like, instead of the techno beat, they just insert the sleigh bells.
I believe it. I believe that they do it, yeah.
I've heard Christmas variances of many things. I've been on a slight kick of rewatching some Todd in the Shadows content since he did that big James Somerton video recently, just watching his actual regular shit. And I was reminded that the guys who made Macarena did a Christmas version of that, which is unholy and demented. You might have already thought that about the Macarena if you lived in the 90s, but, like, it's weird, it's wild, and it doesn't make any sense. They just insert random lines from actual Christmas songs in there, and that was, like, a big hit in Europe. It's weird. It's wild. So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. But anyway, let's talk about the news. We're not necessarily trying to kill time here. Like I said, the raid schedule will sneak up on us, and then we're probably going to want to, like, spend a little bit of time to figure out how to get that started and start running it before everybody crashes the raids with no survivors. Soz. JP first. Merry Christmas in the Snowy Fields, 2023, starting the 20th of December, going until the 31st of December. So, hey, actually, an actual factual, like, 2-week event, kind of. So, this is a new Christmas lotto. It has lotto stuff. It's very nice. This is another variation of an event. I believe they did do this with another lotto event recently, but in this case, this is another one where... Actually, right, did they do this with this year's summer, or was that last summer? But the free quests are available to everybody. You just need to clear Fuyuki to do free quests and roll the lotto. But the story quests, and thus your final exchange of Nemo Santa, is locked to clearing Traum, Lost Belt 6.5. So you can farm lotto, but you cannot actually get your welfare and get some of your rewards, like the extra Saint Quartz and stuff, if you're not caught up on story a little bit. But that does mean the 10th reward, the 10th grand prize, is a Grail. The 9th grand prize is a crystallized lore, so those are available if you're not caught up on story. So that's pretty neat. Good of them to do some stuff with the farming. And it's all really interesting. But also, hey, the welfare is Nemo Santa. I know
This is
many of
important.
us predicted it, but it is, and it's true, and it's good. And you get different Nemos sometimes when you do ascending and leveling up. It's nice. The story locking seems mostly to be just because they want to use current characters in the list, but I'm not gonna fault Nasu for that little bit of catch up. Also, new Mystic Code. Now
It's about time, honestly.
Yeah, we are become Santa. So yes, there's a new Mystic Code called White Christmas. It makes you Santified. This is available normally if you clear MSQ 1, but it's in the shop for those who can't do the MSQ. So even if you're not caught up on story with Trom, you can still get the Mystic Code. It is, however, at least for the time being, only obtainable during this limited event, so God knows when it'll be available to everybody, probably next year. It has 3 skills, as you would expect. The first skill gives you increased NP damage for 1 turn and increased NP generation for 1 turn, so if you like looping. It's a pretty big NP damage increase. It goes from 30% to 50%, so very spicy. Second skill is just absolutely great. It's called Powdered Snow, and it heals one ally's HP 1k to 3k, and also removes their ailment debuff, so removes their dots. So just good healing. And the final skill is a fun one. So this gives 5 to 15 stars automatically, and it charges your party's whole NP gauge by only 5%. So not a great charge, but enough to top off if you're a little behind. And also, I think it has one of the lowest cooldowns for a Mystic Code skill. Its cooldown starts at 9 turns and maxes out at 7 turns, which obviously for the NP charge isn't great. It's only 5%. But guaranteeing 15 stars every 7 turns, if you're going that long, that can be handy. This is a fun one. Also, looks good. And the bonus servant list has been posted. It's pretty normal in Christmas. You see all your Santas there and your other fellows. But it does include a few ominous inclusions like BB, Merlin, Gramps, Oberon. So just getting your Nasu notes in there. As of yet, it doesn't seem like there's a heartbreaker anywhere, but it does seem like we are actually catching up with some of the newer characters. Also, it's been mentioned a few times, but Britomart is also a bonus event, a bonus servant, because even though she's not from a Christmas event, she did kind of come out in around those holiday times. And we do have our banners. No new SSRs. We're ending the year on this servant, but banner number 1 is Nemo plus CEs. Banner number 2 is Britomart plus CEs. It's kind of funny that they led with Nemo because, unless I'm like smoking crack right now, regular Nemo is permanent.
Yes.
But Britomart is limited. So it's funny that we led that way. But it's good that she got a rate up, and, the Nemo thing is appropriate anyway. Also, they mentioned this, but Mary Anning, the 1-star from the Learning with Manga collab, the second time, the actual Golden Week collab, she's in the FP Gacha during this time period as well, so they've found a way to get her involved in the story and the bonus list and also re-up her FP thing like we keep doing with Nobukatsu. So, good times all around. Seems like a solid event, solid rewards, got some lotto, got some good stuff in the shop. Get you some grails and stuff. And have a fun little old Nemo time. That means it's time to... Sorry, slow you on. It's time to shift over to the NA sphere and talk about the anti-primate biosphere Tunguska Sanctuary. Started the 22nd, today, as of we're recording this, and goes until the 30th, which is not today. Anyway, it's time. The story and raid event Tunguska is live. Pay attention to your time gates and raid schedules, kids.
They are not the same.
They are not the same, yes. And those story quest time gates are earlier than you think. I was actually a little surprised because I didn't double check last night when I did all the ones that were available what the time actually said. So I was kind of surprised when people started posting about the new quest, and I was like, are they out? It's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. What's going on here? But yeah, so keep that in mind because, yes, you will have to go through an entire, story node before you're ready for the raid when it drops. Sometimes those involve boss fights, so keep that in mind. The video, the Caldea Broadcasting, did post the raid schedule ahead of time, and somebody in our Discord, one of our mods, was smart enough and fast enough to clip it. I have pinned it to our FGO English chat on our Discord, so if you want to pop into our Discord and check in, you can view the raid schedule at any time. Our banner is up. It includes our new SSR writer and our new SR writer, Taigon Wong, which they have printed as all one word. That's not usually how I see that written, but, It happens. And to putting in Nikic, they will both be available in the general summon pool after their banner is ended. Which is true, but also is not until, like, New Year's, so all the chaos. We also have new event CEs and the new release of the main CEs. Chat, double-check me on this, because sometimes it's hard to make heads or tails of the legalese gotcha language. I think the new general pool CEs aren't rated up, but are just in the summon pool.
I'm not sure.
Because they did say that there is an early release of the new story summon CEs. That's in the text, I checked. But I did not necessarily see that they were rated up. So I think you can get the new CEs in the summon banner, but they're not, like, ratified. Or something like that. Anyway, there's going to be new CEs in the general pool after this as well. Also, despite the fact that there were some concerns, because the numbers were not looking great, the fact that, like, every 4 hours, FGO would retweet the social media tweet themselves, they would repost it. We did hit our social media goal. So we got that 6 Saint Quartz, and we got 10 extra for the Caldea broadcasting video for a 16 total. Very nice. Good jobs. Golf claps and butt pats all around. Though I'm wondering if maybe, at least with the way that Twitter is kind of degrading, maybe unless FGO wants to, like, open up an Insta or a TikTok we can also farm reactions from, we may need to temper our goals on social media.
Yeah.
Because people are one, people are getting loath to log into Twitter anyway. 2, sometimes Twitter is just not working. It had a outage for, like, a noticeable period of time this week. So we probably need to, like, build alternate social media streams or temper those numbers a little. But we still hit it. Oh, JP does have a TikTok? Well, maybe they will launch a TikTok channel over here in the upcoming year.
I don't want to have to start looking at fucking TikTok.
I mean, I'm gonna ride the Twitter hole till it dies, but, like, I think I've said this before. I've watched some compilations of, like, TikToks posted on YouTube, and I'm just like, my brain is too old for this shit. I can't comprehend it. The pacing is too fast for me. This is just not what I'm used to. But we'll see. Or, since they've also FGO in general has gone pretty heavy on, like, YouTube Shorts, maybe reactions to YouTube Shorts could be counted for these goals. That could work.
That. I think that'd be pretty good, yeah.
You know, likes on YouTube is a pretty decent metric, which is still public visible to some people, so we'll see. But it seems like maybe, you know, not to, like, call nobody out, but maybe we should shift our social media strategy a little. I'm honestly quite shocked that they get so many hits on Facebook, but I guess the game has been out for, like, 6 years, so we're all ancient. But we did hit it. We got the St. Quartz, like I said, the Advent calendar. Though they did release, apparently they've released the 4K of Advent Children.
Yeah, it's gonna be in theaters, actually.
Good for them.
I would love to go see Advent Children 4K at a fucking movie theater. That sounds like the best.
Probably pretty tight. I wonder how many computers we blew up upgrading Red 13's textures to 4K. But the Advent calendar that day was also, like, 9 more Saint Quartz, so it was a pretty good infusion. You know, you almost got the full 10 spin, and depending on where you're at in your weekly logins, you might have gotten those couple of extra quartz recently. So we're doing pretty all right. And that's the news. We'll catch you up with some details on what Santa Nemo is like and what we're feeling about the event so far, because the raids are not live yet as of the time we're recording this. Obviously, by the time you're watching this public on YouTube the next day, the raids will have started and will already be long dead, raid number 1, by, you know, tomorrow afternoonish. But, you know, as of now, they haven't started, so we have no commentary on that. But there is a decent amount of plot leading up to it that we can talk about a little. We'll go full spoiler deep dive. That'll probably end up being in a couple of weeks, technically, because as I've mentioned, next Friday when we normally record is my birthday, and then my family is going to be there for most of the weekend. So this episode tonight is probably your last Let's Talk FGO of this year. So we can do a deep runner of our story thoughts after everybody's had time to read up and digest.
Yeah.
And that'll also actually be after, because the epilogue doesn't hit until the 31st anyway. So keep all that shit in mind.
Yeah, I think we can just do surface thoughts and maybe, just surface thoughts.
Yeah, maybe some reactions to some of the new characters. But anyway, that's for later.
So, with that, we are done with the skeletograms. That means it is time to get into this week's Let's Talk FGO mailbag. Excuse me, I needed to take a breath there. the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. We are actually quite mailbags a little more packed than usual. We have 11 this time. Very nice, very nice. Thank you very much. Glad to see everyone's interest. Oh, excuse me, sorry. I decided to have pizza for dinner, and it's fighting me. It's fighting me a little bit. But
He is the pizza boy.
the pizza boy.
It's another one for the compilation.
I'm sorry. I'm just imagining Barrett just opening a door. It's the pizza boy.
I mean, it would be. That's what it would be like.
Anyway, the first one comes from Last Minute Frosty Toes. They say, "Hello, Lucky Omega. Hoping your holiday shopping went without a hitch and you're both in merry spirits for the season. Sending good vibes to help enforce the merriness. Wah, 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 wah." My question is simply, out of all the current story out of NA, what would you say is the most out of nowhere line you remind that just sticks to your mind for whatever reason? My own example is where Barrel and Peppercino got stuck on Kodak's Love Life about him putting the moves on royalty. Again, hope you have both happy holidays and some amazing food to go along with it. Speaking of holidays, yeah, I got most of my Christmas shopping done. I still need to somehow send this fucking, half broken Switch to Loth. I have to make sure I write down his information again and send it. Ugh. And then I already sent the Mega his gift. He has more books. That is my curse to him. I always give him, I think 1 year I got you Judgment and Lost Judgment. No,
Yeah.
that is what I do to Mega. I keep increasing his backlog.
Yeah,
That's what I do. Let's see here. Got my mom something, got my one of my brothers something. I got my stepdad and my other brother Amazon gift cards. Have I mentioned I love Amazon gift cards?
They're pretty
Amazon
solid.
gift cards are great. So yeah, all my holiday shopping is done. I might get something for my roommate, but I never know what he wants. Maybe I'll get him an Amazon gift card too. But I'm mentioning holiday dinner. I am planning on making a semi-robust Christmas dinner. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be traditional. There's going to be a bunch of stuff I like. I'm going to be like, people like, come over and eat my food. Because I'm going to make me a ham. I'm going to make some chicken smothered in gravy, some mashed potatoes, bacon wrapped asparagus, get some rolls, corn on the cob. Was I missing anything? Oh, my mom's going to make ambrosia, which is apparently like this whipped pistachio stuff with like nuts in it. It's so damn good. And one of my friends said they'll be bringing twice baked potatoes. I'm like, delish. So I'm going to get fat on Christmas. Get fat and be full.
As you do.
Yes, I like this. Yes, Lucky is a backlog demon. This is a good term. I want to say
Very
this.
correct.
If we want to talk about the line that just sticks with me for fucking ever, it's actually quite an easy one for me because I just thought, what line sticks out to me? So the first one's not really, it's kind of a cop out, but I always just have a keck whenever you have the option just to go, what? WAT, I'm just like, heh. But the one that I will actually say, it's actually back in Babylonia. Sky High Rider Justice Bomb. God,
Yes.
just
I when you started saying what your thoughts were, I immediately knew it's gonna be what and Sky High Flying Rider Justice Bomb.
that is, and then followed just by screaming justice.
Yeah,
that is still one of the things I think is one of the very few things I do not like about the Babylonia anime is that I feel that they completely bungled that scene like so much.
yeah. I feel like and tonally it makes more sense, but I feel like the Babylonia anime, when confronted with like where you would have dialogue choices, they always pick the straight laced ones, and I'm just like, that's not how people play FGO.
No,
We get a little bit silly.
We get a little silly here.
I'm trying to think. Like there are a lot of jokes that I remember like years later. What is it like compared to like talking about Scotty's runes? Now I remember like yes, I remember the jokes all the way back in Summer 1 where Skahak talks about her runes and changing everybody to swimsuits and being like, well, we've got to survive on this island and repopulate, and if you're a female avatar, everybody's like, that's not gonna work, and then Skahak's like, I got runes, I could fix that, and I'm just like, what? That's not the I mean I know that's a thing that's not quite a joke, but is part of the backstory explanation for how the fuck Mordred exists. But I'm like, well, I wasn't quite expecting you to go all the way there. Ow. Sorry. punch my mic hand. I'm trying to be comfortable in this
another
chair.
one I remember from Babylonia is it's not probably Emma, but I just remember when you got to go talk to Ishtar, you just go mash, do the thing, and she reveals the jewels. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's a funny one.
Or I'm saying hit them with the back of the shield.
Mm-hmm.
Just some of that stuff just lives in my head.
Something that the Babylonian anime did very good, because the sequence is very memorable in text, but I feel like the anime made it way more bombastic. Is Leonidas just rolling out of the gate and doing the classic Molan Labe?
Nah, it's
like
good.
that's a great impact. Arash's speech when he's doing Stella, very strong with me, but it's definitely like. I feel like it's a little harder for me to summon up a lot of like individual lines like right off the cuff, because like I feel like a lot of, because FGO is so text heavy, a lot of events just kind of like blend together like you're painting with a brush. The lines get a little blurry for me. There's so many good moments in like all of Lost Belt 6, right? But Lost Belt 6 has so many fucking lines. It's like, what would I even say is the one that like sticks out to me, most of all?
If I can think of the one. If we're talking about a specific scene, like I can't remember the exact lines, but the one that I think probably that sticks out to me the most is the fucking is the chocolate making contest. And when it all goes wrong, someone just screams about how Castoria is just the type, that's horrible at baking, and you just see the flustered Castoria. That's right. I'm just like, oh god, that just lives in my head.
Or I just thought of I can always picture perfect that one when they do the grayscale. Child of Prophecy found shadowboxing. I'm just like, yes, no, that one. Whenever I think back to Lost Belt 6, and especially the North, I will always like think of that shot. Like there's a lot of good and comedic moments, but also there's just so many things that are like weird. Takes my mind a while to sharpen the focus. I've actually been thinking about rereading Lost Belt 6 recently, but I'm also like, ooh, boy, I don't have time for that right now. That's a lot. That's a lot of reading. That's a very large commitment.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, chat, people at home, in the comments, if you've got like a line that just in FGO is like glued in your memory, lives rent free, as they say, let us know in the commentos.
Alrighty. So let's move on to the next one. This one comes from the Timer King searching for that last Christmas gift, overtime at work, raids, and JP lotto farming, and the 30,000 point grind for Luffy 2. They scream at this point, but I don't feel like screaming, so I will not scream. You can't make me scream.
I'm just picturing the weird suicide guys from Serious Sam screaming, "Oh!" It's a stock scream. You know if you heard it.
Question. Hey guys, was there any show or story that you dropped partway through and wanted to check out how it ended? Because recently I got the itch to find out the ending of the manga of The World God Only Knows, and I liked it. That's a very good manga, honestly.
I should actually go back and read all of that at some point.
Thought it fit this story pretty well. Also, any favorite early mid 2000s anime? Anyway, that's it for me. Sending Christmas vibes your ways, and hope you have a great Christmas and New Year's. It's actually funny. Favorite mid 2000s anime? Motherfucking Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Well, actually, I guess that's late 2000s. Actually, wasn't that like 2009?
Might be a little late.
No. It was 06. That's right. That's right in the mid.
That's pretty solid. I mean, we're gonna say the Bleach, very solid. Also, the anime adaptation of Inuyasha just makes it. That was the year 2000 that started. That was very iconic to my childhood.
Oh wait, no, excuse me. It was 2007. I'll still say that's mid.
It's kind of median.
If we want to actually get the earliest, Fully Cooley. That's another big one.
Very solid one. Code Geass was 06, also very important. That's definitely in the middle. Yeah, Gurren Lagann was. Gurren Lagann released April 1st. God damn. Bold.
Yeah. Talking about shows or stories that I've dropped partway through. Oh god, I probably have way too many. And the problem is it's like I've just forgotten about them. It'll be one of those things like if I come across it, I'll be like, oh yeah, I was reading this, and then I'll read it again. Or try to read it again. Then I probably might either one of two things happens. I read the same point and be like, oh yeah, this is why I didn't like this, and drop it. Or I'll continue through. I'm pretty sure there are some mangas I am on an endless loop on because I can never remember reading them. Horrible. Terrifying.
We can fire up this IMDb list to our patron chat, just listing manga anime series that were airing in the 2000s. Have fun, kids. Also, somebody accidentally put a Beyblade video game in this list. Oops. Ooh, also, yes, I should absolutely say that. I don't know if I was watching it by that point, but the original air date for Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex started in '02. Big deal for me. Great series. Ooh, S-Cryad, 2001. Definitely, I saw it later than that.
But I think that's enough on that. We can all peruse that list as we want. So, let's move on to the next one here. This next one comes from a fishing novice ready to catch some big hauls with Nemo after obliterating some Alfstroms next year. Alfstroms?
I don't know. I assume it's something related to Trump, but I do not possess future knowledge.
I do not either. They say, hi, Lucky and Meg. I hope you both are doing all right this week and enjoying whatever downtime you can/have been given for the year's end. My question for you this week is, how with next year's LB7 promotion campaign has almost all the events tied to Lost Ball completion, do you think that is that the progressive roadblocks are justified either to hype up the LBs or to have staggering players catch up to main stores proportionally? Hope you both have a nice cup of tea and rest easy.
I mean, if the events are, as part of Road to 7, are part of the lead up to 7, the goal is to get you to play Lost Belt 7, right? I feel like that feels like a stated design goal. So,
It is a design goal, and FGO is not shy about, reducing or eliminating AP costs for events. Not to mention they, like I said, I guess mostly the problem with, completing content, especially for newer players, is having the appropriate server kits to do so. As day one players, I've rolled a fuck ton, and, I've gotten a lot of welfares, and I have a fuck ton of grails and QPs from lottos. So I never actually really feel the burn for having an appropriate unit. Usually I have enough power in just one of my setups that I can usually brute force a solution. People who start necessarily sooner don't necessarily have that. We got a lot of things like free SRs, free SSRs, and other such things, but like I don't think it's bad to basically want I don't think it's bad to basically want for a Lisango to want people to be caught up with current story content, but I'm not entirely sure if Lisango actually gives everyone the proper tools to do so. You know?
yeah,
Like
go ahead.
like if you're a free to play player and you just start today, you'll not have a lot. Not really.
Yeah, even
You'll
if you
get
had the time to power through all the Lost Belts and all of the Part 1 story and everything to get to Tunguska right now, for instance, right? Because Tunguska is happening in a similar time frame to when they're going to launch LB7, so it's a good test case. Even if you physically had all the time to do that, you'd only get one singular SR in your tutorial role for sure, for guaranteed. They've expanded that a little to include some newer units, but it's still open-ended. You get a very small handful of free servants as you clear Part 1 story chapters, but only, NP1s. And that's it, the only real way to guarantee that you get an SSR is time. Okay, that's pretty solid. But I assume somebody in the patron chat said they had a friend who started around summer. They're caught up to LB4 currently. That's pretty good. But I assume that they're rolling on banners, right? And that's a skill that you're not necessarily gonna know what to do. Yeah, the problem is that GSSRs only occur at certain times of the year.
Yeah.
I do like that they, as part of the new master support stuff, they did offer you the special run. That's good. I hope we do more stuff like that over here, right? To give you some opportunity to get some new things. But it's definitely one of those things where having connections in community helps, and not to toot our own horn too much. But if you're hearing this, you're listening to us. But this is the beauty of having been working on crafting this community for so long. My friends list is basically never not full. Every time they add some new people, I usually bundle together a bunch of requests, and it's been pretty filled out ever since it's existed because I have been publicly posting my friend code once a week for 6 years. Geez, they got that new friend look. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things where I think it's fair for them to block out the events this way, and if they if they stage it right, they say, okay, Road to 7, we're doing the Lost Belt 1 tie-in. If you want to catch up with these rewards and events and stuff, you gotta have done Lost Belt 1, It gives you a checklist to catch up. But this is why, I always make sure to, whatchamacallit, like talk about when we're talking about new units, right? To mention that there's farming, which you need for leveling and other stuff to catch up, because, just because you have good units doesn't mean you can use them because you need to fucking level them and skill them and stuff. But then also their actual use in challenges and story content, because that can be hard, and those skill sets do not necessarily overlap. I think actually Tagon Wong is a really interesting case of a unit who actually does overlap, because, like, he can just be your generic rider farmer. He's got some steroids and can do some, like, double Scotty looping, but also he's really, really good if you can, like, get all his trait damages to click and just crank his output way up. I mean, what I'm hearing legendary is just that your new player friend is just Satan. They've stood at the crossroad and made the bargain, and they are demonically powered to roll good. I know people like that. It's called Dallas. But yeah, so it's it's an interesting question. I think I agree. Like you said, I don't know if Lysangle does quite enough to, like, prep everybody in the unit dimension. Certainly the Evocation Festival stuff we started doing this year is a step in the right way, because you just kind of, like, gradually accrue the currency to buy welfares and multiple NP copies, which is a good way to get solided. And obviously, strictly speaking, you don't actually need SSRs to be good. There are plenty of low rarity units that have good kits, and if you just earn enough Grails and EXPs, you can, bootstrap them to SSR levels. But that requires time investment and knowing what the fuck you're doing, which many people don't know. This is why I'm never upset when, like, FGO Twitter tweets out some basic bitch shit like, hey, did you know you can buy stuff in the Mana Prism store? And, like, people have been playing this game for 6 years, like, yeah, no duh, I figured that out in the first week. But, maybe people aren't playing it, every day for, like, 6 years. Maybe they don't know what Mana Prisms are for yet. You just kind of, like, get them these days. So it's good to let people know.
Ooh. Oh, excuse me.
If anybody on our audience has just started playing recently, I would not mind hearing from you if you've had any, like, have any thoughts on, like, how easy or hard it's been to play catch up on the story. AP wise, it should be pretty easy. I think we're at, like, 0 AP right now for main story stuff.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see here. So, let's move on. So this next one comes from not really feeling it myself, but wishing happy all holidays to y'all. Well, I hope that you do start feeling it at some point. I hope. Let's say, question, are there any attack animations that you think are really, really imaginative that greatly stand out from the rest? Example, Morgan's Arts, where she holds up her staff and drains the life from her enemies. Melisine's Extra, where this sort of hourglass type event horizon that forms at the enemy. Epheson Coup Buster, where he pole vaults and slams the end of the enemy. Attacks that make you go, wait, that's actually pretty smart. This animator was cooking. Other examples maybe Scotty when she steps her foot and Ash slices to the enemy. Odysseus when he takes damage and the force field appears in front of him. Cha-Cha and her Ultraman Buster.
It's funny, they mentioned the Scotty one, and I'm like, oh yeah, that is a good one. I was thinking of that myself. I also appreciate that they mentioned Odysseus' damage sprite. This is a thing people probably don't pay too much attention to, but some servants actually have, like, funny and unique damage sprites, and it's a thing that you will very often miss. I'm trying to think of, like, some others who have some that...
Doesn't Jason never actually kill? He always runs away?
Yeah, I think Jason always runs away when he flees. Several servants will actually, like, try and, block or dodge and type stuff.
Honestly, like, I can't, like, talk about, but basically all of Kama Summer's animations, her third form with the ring, I love those. I really do love those.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. I'm trying to think, like, whom. I mean, we keep getting reminded because we joked about it, but I love servants who have variations based on where in the chain you do their attacks, because sometimes they get up close and sometimes they back up. And it has been mentioned to us because we joke about it not being there, but Castoria at low levels does have the pipe bomb. It's just one of her specific animation combinations. That's great. I fucking love that. Yeah, Aresha's, I think is that her Buster card where she just summons the dinosaur skeletons? That one does
she
stick
rings
in my mind a lot.
the lantern. Yeah,
she jingles it like the dinner bell and fucking dinosaurs come out. And I'm like, it's been a while since I've had to use my Aresh for something, but that's definitely a moment of like, yeah, no, that one sticks with you. There's also usually a lot of little references because, like, it's not super memorable, but, writer Ishtar throwing in, Rin's, like, Chinese martial arts, her Bajikwan moves, pretty good.
All right. So, let's keep moving on then. This next one comes from Tunguska main battle theme connoisseur. Yeah, no, this fucking soundtrack is fucking choice.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
2 reminders for my fellow peoples of the chat about the event. 1, no need to follow the guides like a lifeline. Do your thing since there are like 3 fights at the end that are kind of hard.
Yeah.
2, don't one-shot the final raid boss. The mobs drop a lot of good stuff. I do believe this has been mentioned before.
Yeah, it's been said a few times, but the quote unquote optimal strat is to 3-turn farm because that prevents some weird shenanigans with the enemy mobs and also gives you more drops.
More drops.
Sorry, I read the alias of the next comment and I had to shift gears in my brain a little.
This next one comes from Dragon Girl versus Santa. He broke into the wrong house this time. Just hear the ominous sound of a fucking shotgun being racked. But let's say good day to all of you and hope you have a great holiday. I also hope you enjoy the raids. I will try. Like I said, I think I mentioned this. I don't know if I mentioned this on air, but I have noticed a few people being uncomfortable, concerned about the raid time because I'm assuming that they have some sort of either they haven't caught up or it's just at a bad time and stuff. So I consider myself fortunate that the raids for me will start at around 8 p.m., which is my usual. Like I'm usually not doing much around that time if I'm not hanging around with the lads or the boys. I'm usually just off on my own time, so I'll be okay. I'll probably be able to get in a few good reps.
It's about 11 p.m. for me usually, so yeah, that's not too late, but also not too early, so like it catches up with the stuff. But it is definitely going to be oddball for a couple of people who are working late, whether that's they start working late or they have just long shifts. And I do not know how long the raids will go. We don't usually outpace JP. We did recently do that though, so like people might be jamming. Though somebody in our Discord actually said that they may wonder how fast these raids will go because they do require LB6 cleared, and there are a decent number of players in NA who haven't gotten all the way through LB6 yet. It is. I don't know if they were just waiting for like all of it to be out. I know that a member of the Crows and the Secret Tabletop Cabal, Loth, he just ended up waiting until all 3 parts released, before he started. He's caught up now, but like he's, that was his like personal wait time. Some other people may have waited. And as we discussed, it's a lot of fucking text. I love that story to death. Somebody completely unrelated to FGO I follow on Twitter posted like, hey, what's an actual good novel you read this year? I just posted the fucking header image of Lost Belt 6 because it's true. That may actually be like the best, mostly text-based story I've read all year. Fucking balling out, but it's long, so not everybody has time to catch up on all that. So
that's true.
We may not see as fast a raid destruction as people are expecting, but we'll see. Hopefully you get the time to try it. Raids are always kind of interesting, and I do think they can be a little fun. Not every raid has been fun, but they can be fun because the raids are the time that FGO is just like, fuck it. What's your best shot? What do you got? What do you got back there? Hit me with what do you got going on? Show me your biggest bang. How crazy can you go? And raid events are usually paired with damage CEs and damage boosts for this reason. So you get to do some wild shit. And it's been a while, I think, since we've had that kind of boss fight that was not also like a weird gimmick grind. Because like Karnuna's Big Fluff, that guy was tough. He had a lot of stuff going on. He
did.
Like that was not a fight where I felt like I could actually like sit back and like try and puzzle it out. It was like no. I need to figure out like how to bring my, my best shit to not die right away right now. But with hopefully there'll be enough tries to do some experimenting. I'm not even 100% sure what my move will be for the first raid boss, though. Ibuki is a big stick. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoys the raids and you find time to do them.
God, the characters in Dave the Diver is so good. I heartily recommend this game actually. But enough on that. This next one comes from Monster Girl Aficionado, my man, who says, "Dear enemy of innocence, Omega, and barista at the end of the universe, Lucky. Instead of an angel and a devil hanging on your shoulder and whispering ear, you have Muppets. Who are they? Sending good vibes and wishing you well. keep up the great work. Like, do we have to actually list like actual Muppets?
Yeah, that
Oh,
I don't know. Though I suspect it would probably be like, I feel like the Goofus and Gallant comparison is kind of like usually with the Muppets like Kermit and Miss Piggy, because Miss Piggy is always like vain and violent, but Kermit is like Kermit the Frog here.
I mean, if I was
just
gonna pick two, I'd pick
Kermit,
Oscar the
please.
Grouch and Fozzie the Bear.
Be grouchy or be funny. Yeah, that's a good one. If they're just, since this is lowercase m, these are just non-name brand Muppets. I don't know. I've always talked about the joke about the two wolves. That is kind of me, because I feel simultaneously torn between just being like super cynical about stuff and then being also like, no, listen, we can be positive, we can be hopeful.
If
There
we're
is
going
good
just with
in
like,
pots of man.
if we're just being generic animals, I would pick a fox and a rabbit.
But yes, if we're going actual Muppets, I mean, I feel like my joke is just Gonzo and also Gonzo.
That's a solid one. I was thinking Gonzo, but I was like, I don't know. No, I'm not as crazy as Gonzo.
I always liked Gonzo as a child.
So let's keep moving on. The next one comes from Koyanskaya in a onesie, which I still love the imagery for. I don't remember why we were talking about Koyanskaya in a onesie, but it lives with me. Listen,
Yeah,
the reason...
It was like a hypothetical event we were talking about.
Yeah, I think it was, but I don't need a reason why. I just need it.
It was like discussing Koyan's day off or something, and she's just like chilling in her room in the fucking Kigurumi onesie.
Yeah. But they say, dear Lucky and Omega, no questions this week. Just wanted to wish you good luck on the new year, the banner. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you all. Unfortunately, it's gonna be. We probably won't know our New Year's rolls until for 2 weeks here.
I mean, we wouldn't anyway, because the first is like a Monday.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that'll be the show of the 5th, which is also a pay week for me. Unfortunately, I gotta pay. No, I could be like, hey, can I pay my expense? I gotta go spend money on waifus. My friend would be like, listen, man, I gotta get my fix.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Honestly, I think like gacha games are my vice when I think about it. I think it's probably the thing at like the most like. I buy like video games and books for like actual reading collection purposes, but I think the thing that probably I buy the most of that actually has no intrinsic value. Well, I shouldn't say intrinsic value, but doesn't have a direct tangibility or correlation is probably my PNG waifus. It's weird to think about. Guess that's my vice. What is my vice? Waifus. I'm gonna go to therapy for it now. But let's see here. Oh, let's keep going on. Oh, excuse me. So the next one comes from Gahulian God. Do you think it's possible that the reason that FGO doesn't get any Game of the Year nominations because the global content would get is 2 years behind the current content, or vice versa, where the JP content is ahead of the global content? Yes. I talked about this when we were talking about mobile game nominations for the VGAs.
Indeed, this is indeed Lucky's theorem.
On top of the fact that FGO is still very literally niche in its own categories, unlike other Mala games that can try a general crowd with more generic appeal. Lies.
Yeah,
Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, like they just have massive marketing budgets and appeal to the proper people. All the other games in that nomination, what the fuck? Terra Nil, which I do hear is very good. I do hear it's good, but it's also something you can buy on fucking Steam. You can buy it on Steam.
Yeah, it's a multi-platform game. Same with Genshin, honestly.
Same with Genshin. And Honkai. Same with Ever Crisis, actually. The Ever Crisis Steam port only came out this month. It only came out a couple weeks ago, though.
Yeah.
So,
when it had the Steam port, I don't even know if the Steam port had been officially announced.
I think it
probably
did.
was, but yeah, it was absolutely not out yet, so that wouldn't have a lot of impact on the voting pool.
Yeah. And believe it or not, I would not call FGO niche in its own category. It's actually very popular in its category.
Yeah, Fate's very big.
If you want to say that gacha games are kind of niche, I would somewhat agree. Like I said, they're at the core, like depending on like all the mechanics are different, but at their core, gacha games are usually visual novels with some sort of game mechanic. And like, sorry, I am gesticulating wildly as I try to explain this. And so a visual novel with microtransactions probably is not the a visual novel with minimum gameplay mechanics, and microtransactions. Small enough to fit on your phone. Probably doesn't appeal to the mass market. Like, I take the bus to and from work, and so I see a lot of people. I see a lot of kids. Trust me, I almost never see kids playing fucking like any sort of games. They are always on fucking TikTok, scrolling through Facebook, watching a video on YouTube, doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and it's definitely like a point where I know we all thought that like in the 2000s and especially the 2010s, like the gamers rose up and the gaming became mainstream, but even then, like the kind of video games that kids play, like we said, it's not usually on your phone, and if it is, it's probably something like super simple, like Candy Crush. Right, I forgot its fucking name because it's just Bejeweled. Simple shit like that you can actually like tap on your phone and not care. Flappy Bird, yeah, it's another game that like came out of nowhere and is very simple because, I appreciate that I can like carry FGO around me on the house and stuff, but like I would not be able to read FGO while I was taking a fucking bus ride most of the time, I would have to like read and then be ready to do battles on the bus, and then if I finish the fight and have to read more story, I'd have to be like, hold on, I gotta put this on my phone because I gotta pay attention to where I am and what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't want to climb on a subway and ride because I would be like, no, I have to get off in 4 stops, and if I get really into this reading. So I definitely think that like I think the way Japan is with its more compact urban design and transit systems, they might have a little more free time and be just a little more used to the regularity of it. So some people can pull it off, but it's not quite the same like frantic attention getter that you use in your idle time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can say as much as we like that I would appreciate an official web client for it, and we may have some talk about that later in mailbag actually, if I remember rightly. But it's definitely an oddball. This person actually had a line break about some other stuff.
Yeah.
That I do kind of disagree a little bit with. If we want to like read that part out.
Oh yeah. No offense, but what? Okay, I'm gonna start those off right here. If you start your sentence with "no offense," I am immediately offended.
I feel like these days, no offense is more meant at like the end, like after you say something and you clarify. No offense meant.
Yeah, no. No offense means that you fully understand that you think you're gonna say something fucking stupid and something that can offend me, and are going ahead with it anyway, and not considering rewording it to something maybe less offensive. Don't do that. Have tact. You people are thinking and smart. You can have tact. Especially when you're typing, you can pause and think about what you're saying.
Well, some people do submit these on mobile, which is why we get some of our weird typos. Now that I also don't appreciate you guys taking that your time out of the day to just think, I'm gonna answer the mailbag on your phone, but it does mean sometimes you do a dumbus.
Do a dumbus. Anyway, they say, no offense, but what grabs your attention at the end of the day? An open world game with waifus and in-story voice acting like Genshin, or a turn-based game with text reading based story like FGO. I say as one who plays both games.
So I have 2 responses to this part, right?
Right.
1, hey, I would like to remind everybody, I stopped playing Genshin. I got on that train on my PS4, I think, back in the day. Yeah, I think it was pre-PS5 when Genshin came out. It's been out a while. I played it, pretty decently, and I stopped because Genshin was too much gameplay loop, and I was just like, yeah, I don't actually care about this. It's cute and it's fun, but like I'm not suckered in enough to do this over and over again forever. Whereas FGO's story writing is so good that it keeps me back going every time. Now, you may say that like Genshin may grab more attention, but also like what I wanted to bring up is Honkai, which is considered, I think to a lot of people is considered more well designed. I don't actually know if it's a bigger hit than Genshin Impact yet, but Honkai Star Rail is I believe usually thought of by at least most of the people I've talked to as being a little better made, a little tighter. That's fully turn-based. It's not an open world game. Genshin grabbed more attention when it came out because it was a Breath of the Wild clone, because that was cool. As I think we've seen with some other gaming decisions, that's not necessarily the silver bullet it's always been. Gaming stuff kind of rises and falls, flexes with the time. FGO is not necessarily going to be hip and marketable right now, but that's because the core game is like 8 years old. That's it's 7.5, I guess, or is it actually? Which was our last anniversary at JP? Was it 8?
I believe so. Yes, 8.
Yeah, so we're at 8.5. Yes, thank you. So, like, that's, they've talked about this. They're pretty sure FGO is going to go for a decade. That's a long time in gaming terms, to compare to, like, one of our other, our other big time consumers lately, which also recently hit a 10-year anniversary. Final Fantasy 14, hit 10 years of the 2.0 this year. And that game has changed a fuck ton over those 10 years, and like as they've adjusted, and you can see this both in their updates to previous content and the way they approach new content. Actually, Final Fantasy 14 is like 13 years old technically. What year was 1.0? Was that 2010 or 2011?
I do not remember.
Yeah, he doesn't remember off the top of his head. Don't worry about it. Somebody in chat will pick us up. But yes, AAR, the 2.0 version, is celebrating its 10 years this year. So like there's a lot you can do where like you can get these big updates that can bring people in, even if your game design isn't necessarily super modernizing. FGO, I think, has, they're not gonna change their underlying mechanics. I think part of their approach to being marketable is its simplicity. FGO is all like touchscreen interface based. There's no need for like virtual controllers or anything. It's all turn based. You can like pick it up and put it down, and the core game mechanics are very basic. And then there's a lot of like growth in there, but you can decently capture stuff. I think there are some decisions that I don't know if they can or cannot change. Like, I don't know, like, if just them displaying what the actual literal percentages of every skill would be is just too much of a UI fuck over to change. Because like we can calculate those on the back end. It's just, not necessarily publicly listed in the game. And I just don't know if they can't like fix that at that stage. It would be nice, but I can look it up decently on my own. But there's moments where like FGO is ongoing and they can hook people with these new big releases, and it's definitely a point that I would take a little bit of beef with. I know Genshin was very flashy and very good.
Honestly, I can't really talk about Genshin like outside like the original stuff because that's all I got and all I had. But I didn't actually think the story was that interesting personally, even if it was voice acted.
Yeah, I think it was all right. If I understand the Genshin heads correctly and I can take them at face value, I think they have actually done some good stuff with like characters and story beats in later bits. The initial updates are very boilerplate and open-ended, which I would not necessarily say FGO is or is not like that, because like I think if you boot up FGO right now and you start playing the main story, it's got a hook. Like I think Fuyuki still lands. It's a little bit of a it's meant to be a draw in, and for you to be like, what is happening? What's going on? Oh my god. And then you're just like, all right, well, we're in it now, And sure, those first couple singularities after Fuyuki are probably a little rough, but eventually it evens out and it gets real good and intense. And then, we get to like Lost Belts and shit. And a lot of those are just banger after banger. So yeah, like I don't know. Genshin has like the power of hindsight and money on its side, and I think that Honkai, they learned a lot of their lessons, and we're gonna see how ZZZ goes, as well. FGO is kind of interesting in that like they're not Lasengel and even previously Delightworks are not like iterating in that way, Like the closest we got is Arcade, which is an iteration, but is also in a very limited format.
And also, I do want to say this. You put in these two examples. My preferred right now is neither one of these. Like, I love FGO. I'm playing it to death. But right now, my favorite fucking gacha game is Nikke. Not because it is because it's the ass game, but because it has interesting, unique mechanics as a fucking rail shooter. Like, well, not rail shooter, an arcade shooter.
Yeah,
an amazing story, constant events and updates. I literally mean this constantly. Anytime they like stop one event, they are usually starting a next one in the next day. Like, and they might be like little things, but they're always entertaining. More often than not, they put you on the floor though. That's the problem.
I haven't managed to get into Nikke for a couple of reasons, the floor thing being one of them, but like I feel kind of like Nikke is we're reaching the platonic ideal of a gacha game at this point almost, because like it has a simple but proactive gameplay interface. It is, as Lucky said, an arcade shooter. It's like playing Time Crisis,
Mm.
and also like it has a very specific character design note, and like they know what they're doing, but also they have a lot of like strong writing stuff going for them, world building, and so on and so forth. It breaks phones, but that a little too. So like yeah, we're in terms of 2D live 2D and 2D games. Nikkei feels like I said to be close to like my platonic ideal of a gacha game.
It is for me. It's like their story is usually voiced. Not all their events are voiced, but some they have been like putting in back voice acting for some. Like they recently added because they recently been adding voice acting to previous events like the last Christmas, and people died because it has one of the cutest characters being sad, and you're just like, no.
I'm dying. But
Like
yeah,
I
like
said, the gameplay is interesting. The gotcha mechanics are fair. There are redundant systems so you can get units. Like I said, the community support is great. Fucking got like every couple months we actually get a fucking letter from the director of the Nikkei team who says, "Hey, we've been listening to what you guys have said are asking for, and we're going to do this." And we'll just list out things, and they'll say, we're having problems with this. We're trying to work on this. Fucking in the last one, we just got done with Redash or Red Ash, whatever you want to say it. And this was the event that had the fucking Vampire Survivor ass game, but with Nikkeis. And apparently it was so popular and that so many people asked for them to add it in the game permanently. The dev team and the CEO were just like, okay, we'll figure that out. And it's like, because I think that's the thing that like I want to get to is being a good mobile gotcha game is more than just one or two things. It takes actually a lot of things for it to actually be really good. Oh yes, community totally went into fucking dad mode. But it's like a good gotcha game has to have good like decent graphics, good story, some quality voice acting, good community support. Its fucking rates can't be shit, and it generally needs some sort of system that doesn't like make you have to spend money on that. Nikkei is like one of the few games I think that has all that. This is why I like got so fucking pissed at the fucking video game awards and its lack of mention of Nikkei.
Yeah, and it's like the yeah, I think Rashad said it. I was going to say Nikkei has had a lot of years to learn, and like I said, become the platonic ideal. FGO is one of the granddaddies of that system, and so
It really is, yeah.
It is a foundation, but you can feel the weight of all the other shit piled on it. But also FGO does have kind of, it's not quite a silver bullet, but like Fate was already a pretty decent franchise in Japan ahead of time, and obviously since FGO has come out, it's been like even bigger. But the very specific way that Nasu's style of writing and his collaborators and the rest of the Type Moon team kind of come together like has a lot of appeal to people in at least in the anime and VN fandom circles, we should say. I think Fate should have more universal appeal, because what's cooler than King Arthur battle royaling with Gilgamesh and Hercules? But there's a lot of people who know that like, well, we still gotta hope in for that writing, because even if shit gets weird or events are a little thin on the ground, we got stuff to do. We got some work here. But also FGO is like not like directly, but FGO is, I think, is trying to lead up to the conclusion and the sunset period, and then figure out what the fuck is next. Because there will be, we've talked about this, there will be some next. Sony paid quite a lot of money to get to do the spinoff into Lasengle and get FGO via Aniplex. So it's we're in an interesting state where there will be some kind of follow up. I don't know if like FGO will make the jump to a sequel that is more modernized and with 3D elements, but we'll see what's shaking up. Other studios are doing stuff. I would appreciate, though, if Big Daddy, Sony, and Aniplex of America, you know what you guys really need to do? The AX, the bus wraps and the giant murals are cool, but like, I think you need to slip Jeff Keighley the 20. because Hypergriff got their Arknight sequel up in there, but it's interesting. And I will also say that, like, talking about, like, community stuff, like, obviously the voice acting in FGO is a little more limited, you know? They don't try to include it for every single line of text. And I actually don't know how long text segments are in Nikkei, but, like, God, I'm trying to imagine how big the audio files would be for, like, LB6 if every line of text was voiced, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It would be weighty, you know? Adding voiced Valentines added a lot to the game. But, like, FGO's audio cast in Japan is, like, the super mega who's who of actors. Some of whom don't know shit about Fate, some of whom are huge fans of Fate, and it's, like, they bring a lot of energy to, you know, the fandom, I think, in Japan that also doesn't always translate over here. But, you know, they're trying. They're doing a little cross-promotion. Though it does always, about the English thing, it does always kind of surprise me that we just can't. I don't know if it is, like, a lack of funding or just, like, not wanting to futz with the market, but, like, I'm not that I want to, like, put any more effort on those ladies. I follow a couple of the Hololive English girls on Twitter still, even though I don't watch a lot of their stuff, and they're constantly seem like they're fucking dying because they're streaming so much, and then also they have this whole other secondary career about shit, you know? Like, they're doing music or art or something. But I feel like it's definitely a little bit of an underpin that, like, we couldn't like swing an emphasis to get them to, like, stream FGO for, like, 6 hours for a couple of weeks. We just had that one weird little intro video. Couldn't get a little more pizzazz there. It's interesting. But yeah, like, I mean, the question they asked, asking about theories about why FGO doesn't get some of the, like, Game of the Year contention and stuff is that, like, yeah, no, Lucky, you straight up said that it's because probably we're, like, 2 years behind and all the release dates are fucked up, and, like, a lot of outlets probably, even if they are aware of FGO, probably don't know how to handle that, and I don't know how it, comes up in certain awards, and it's not like, like, it's not on Steam, so you can't, like, put it in as a category for, like, Steam Awards and shit like that. It's not on PlayStation, so it can't be like, oh, the PS Blog Awards. It's just on phones. And I do think Google Play did have some awards over here, but I'm sure that was just as much outweighed by 10 billion people playing whatever games are popular in English. Are people still playing Pokemon Go? People apparently still play PUBG Mobile, so I don't fucking know how phone games work. But yeah, no, like, I feel like you definitely meant some offense when you said that statement, because you're underselling FGO a lot. There's some great waifus in this game. There's some great character designs. You gonna shame Duad Arco like that? Genshin character designs are still so normal to me.
Some of them are good.
I mean, there's some that are good, but a lot of them are just kind of like, yeah, that's a character design. It's pretty all right. Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. Legendary's reminding me that people don't play Pokemon Go anymore because they needed to hook whales. Oof. But we got a couple more of these, and we've only got an hour till raids.
Hang on 1 second. I'm getting chased by fish. They want to eat me.
I'm getting fish chased. Also, I said ow because I punched my mic arm. I'm sorry about that. I'm also sorry if you heard a weird bingle bongle. I
bingle bongle
logged into my it was a while ago now, but I just remembered I was gonna mention it but didn't because we got sidelined by that whole conversation. I logged into, like, my Steam on my browser to add Dave the Diver to my wish list for the future. And then, like, 5 minutes later, Steam decided to send me, like, a push notification with a little bell to tell me that the winter sale is going on. And I'm like, Steam, I know. You sent me this email days ago. I am aware.
How dare.
Well, also, I mean, I would say this. Axe is saying, they hurt themselves by letting characters have different body types. That's just called an animation thing. Like, yes, they maybe should have budgeted out a couple different skeletons and, like, animation sets to give people different figures, probably, but also that's expensive. Like, having reusable animations that are a little more limited is way more cost effective. And this is a discussion that is going around about, like, hey, are AAA video game budgets overinflated? I'd say the answer to kind of yeah, but also kind of not. Like, you have to employ a shitload of people to make these games. Were they huge in budget? I don't think Genshin was writing blank checks. They probably built it conservatively.
Well, from what I understand, I think, like, Honkai Star Rail is a bit better about this, and I think definitely Zoneless Zen Zero is. Like I guess I think I have mentioned this before. I am excited for Zoneless Zen Zero, or Zenless Zone Zero. It's 3 Z's. It's a lot of Z's, baby. But we will see. But I'm going to say enough of that because people are going to want to talk about it. And I'm like, no. I want to get on. We got raids in an hour and I want to play more Dave the Diver.
Yes.
So, apparently this one has a force script, a FS, I suppose. I'm posting this here because I tried posting in the comments, but I don't see the post. I assumed YouTube ate the comment because I left a link to Reddit. But if you remove the comment, you can just skip this. Omega, did you remove a comment?
No.
All right, then YouTube ate it.
In fact, I'm going to double check now if it's in our YouTube held for review because I forgot to do that earlier.
But this one comes from casual Let's Talk FGO viewer who says, "Hello, Lucky and Omega. In the recent Let's Talk FGO, Lucky talks about wanting to have FGO on his phone and emulator at the same time. This is actually possible. I recently backed up my iPhone, and now FGO on both apps is linked to the same account. You can't play them both at the same time, though, and the app connects to the server, as it normally would, to update any changes. It seems that as if there is an account token that can be transferred. There is a Reddit post detailing how to achieve this for Android/emulator. While I haven't personally verified this, there are some recent responses suggesting it still works, and some suggesting it doesn't. The post is called FGO save files for NA and JP, playing on multiple Android devices with the same account and without changing bindcode. Hope this was helpful. I will take that helpful. Thank you for sharing that information with us. Anyone else out there who might need that, please give it a try and let me know. I will probably look it up and save it for later.
Also, they attempted to post that Reddit link as a reply to this comment. YouTube did catch that because of a link block. Not exactly sure if that's an automated filter or something we did previously. It's probably automated, though. I do think YouTube doesn't necessarily like links in the comments. I did approve that. The comment on the mailbag post, I have no record in the YouTube files about any previous attempts to post links to Reddit comments in our comments, so I think YouTube is just, auto-eating those.
No.
But hopefully I have allowed that reply in, and I can see the, one reply. I just can't see it on the page, so you hopefully can check. If not, they posted the full name of the Reddit thread, so you can Google it.
Google. So, with that, we will move on it. This next one comes from the one, the only, Agent 418, who says, "Hello, Lucky and Omega. Have a good weekend, y'all. Same to you. I have a question. Why is your name Agent 418? I am curious. Let me know next week." But that is it for Let's Talk FGO Mailbag.
Alrighty, that means we're going to move into free talk at about an hour 25 in the raw mission clock, so we're moving. We're doing good.
Progress.
And we had a couple of big bites, I think, on some of those mailbag comments. But let's do the talks. I think because the Tunguska initial impressions will probably be longer and more rambly. Let's start with New Nemo Deets.
New Nemo.
All right. So, as a Santa, Nemo is still a writer. Great callback. Perfectly fine stuff. He is on the lower attack, higher HP side. This is where welfares often end up, but it's true. He's not at the absolute, lowest attack, highest HP, but leaning that way. Deck is Quick, Arts, Buster. Average hit counts and NP gain. His NP gain, if I recall correctly, is 0.51, and he's got 4 hits on Quick, 3 hits on Arts, 3 hits on Buster, etc. All pretty normal stuff. His NP is also simple but effective, which is a little bit more than can be said for regular SSR Nemo's NP, which is his kit's a little overly specialized. This is just AoE Arts, gives all enemies skill steal for 1 turn, deals bonus damage to evil enemies based on overcharge. That's it. That's all you got. Straight damage. Honestly, we have a lot of writers in general. I was calculating for the Wanted on Taikobo about how many permanent writers we have, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of these guys. It's similar to archers. I think it's limited archers. Permanent writers is a competitive market, but I don't remember off the top of my head what our other arts solutions are for welfare writers. At least that would be AoE, because
I was about to say
we had this discussion before, but Ryoma is single target.
Yep,
he's the arts single target. Writer Gendoki is the quick single target. Summer Ishtar is AoE quick. So I'm sure they're out there because there are a lot of them, but yeah, if you've, this is you better watch out type shit. He knows if you've been naughty. But his NP may be pretty normal. His skill kit is pretty good, though. His first skill is an amazing support piece. You're looking at 10 to 20% crit, NP damage, and attack up for the whole team for only 1 turn, but it's all 3 of those buffs. And a further 10 to 20% attack up for 3 turns for servants with the group servant trait. That's right. New traits, PogChamp. We've got a new servant trait. Hopefully there will be more support for in the future. So, what the fuck is a group servant, you may ask me? The short version is basically any servants that are more than one guy. So, Dioscuri is in this, obviously. Speaking of which, both Ryomas are in this because, Orio's with him.
Anne and Mary?
Yes, both Anne and Mary count. The Trung sisters, obviously, because they're multiples. There also are some odd ones in there, though. Like, Okuni actually counts, because she's always with Zanzaboto.
What about
counts?
Daikokutin?
Yes, they count.
Oh, okay.
As does Super Bunyan, because, the other two are with her as well. I think the interesting ones, I should say, is Huang Feihu, who is the 4-star writer from next year's Halloween event. He counts, I think, because he's got some extra guys from the investiture with him. Okita Soji Summer counts, but only in her first 2 ascensions when Rengoku is separate. If they fuse, they're not a group. And I think the funniest one on this is, yes, Summer Bryn counts. She is a unit. She is a group. So yeah, there's a decent number of these. The funny part is that all of these are gold rarity servants. There are no group servants who are silver. But
oof.
It's a funny niche, and like I said, there are a couple of the lower rarities or 4-stars on here.
I feel like Jason should be on that list.
He probably should, but he is not. And maybe
like if Summer Bryn could be on it, fucking, I think Jason could be on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud.
Not that I don't know, gassing up Jason in a wombo combo with Santa and Nemo might be a little too much gas, because Jason is already a very good budget art support. But
true.
I don't necessarily know how they're thinking on these things, but we'll see if any more servants that interact with group servants count. But yes, so it's charisma for group servants, and then for 1 turn, it's basically super Voyager of the Storm, because you get 20% crit damage as well. So definitely got some room for some interesting there. His second skill is 3 turns of debuff immunity, 10% NP gauge for 3 turns, and a 1k to 3k guts for 1 time 3 turns. Pretty solid defensive skill. 30% battery over 3 turns, 10% per turn on an arts unit. Very good refund. I love just debuff immunity for 3 turns. Fuck you. And also a guts. And I think the recharge time is also not crazy. Like, it's bigger because it's a guts. Oh, no, it's not that bigger. It's a 6. All of his skills are minimum cooldown 6. So yeah, very, very good times on that. Very good. Solid. Final skill is another pretty normal support. Gives himself 20 to 30% arts for 3. It gives the party 1 hit 3 turns of evade, and also gives everybody in the squad 10% NP gauge as well. His passives are Writing A, Divinity B, and his unique Protection of the Sea God. It gives him 6% extra damage on arts crits, and also a 300 damage cut if you're on water or space battlefields. Not a huge deal, but it exists. But the little crits goo is probably the fun part. So, while we have many, many years of Santa competition, Nemo Santa seems fun. He's got a pretty well put together kit. I am not gonna laugh at like a personal 3-turn debuff immunity and a team-wide 1-3 evade. 1-3 evades are very good. Means you can dodge NPs and some stuff most of the time. And he's got decent team-wide buffs and a trait damage. That should be pretty effective sometimes. Multiple defenses, team buffs, stall synergy. He does, skill zeal. And the trait damage is overcharge based, so he's a free NP5, so that'll go some places. You'll be able to get a lot of extra impact here. There's definitely some utility. I approve. Seal of approval. Also, as I mentioned earlier, it's great that when you do like level ups and ascensions, you will see some of the different Nemos in the arts.
I think it's great.
Yeah. So no, good work. Thumbs up, everybody. Having a fun time. Ooh, biggest competition would be Habanyan. Honestly, they probably synergize pretty well, other than the fact that Nemo is not a bride. But what if you put Santa on one side and Habanyan on the other, and you put the arts bride in the middle? Chat, I would like it to be known for the record, when I said that part, my thought did not actually go to Nero Bride, who is arts. I thought of Summer Musashi first. Thank you. No further questions at this time. But that about wraps up our Nemo deets. So let's talk a little bit about Tunguska.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tunguska, it's a story event. It starts pretty strong. Also, I do want to note, great music. We have a battle theme and a map theme, both of which are pretty good and distinct. And also a very good selection of previous Lost Belt era music themes. I am very curious how they're going to handle the first raid battle. I joked that the music won't be as iconic as the first time, but I don't know for sure what we'll get, so we'll see. But our setup starts with a little bit of an odd moment where we actually get some Sion time that we don't usually get. That was very interesting. I feel like there was some unnecessary but not unwelcome exposition about the Wandering Sea there.
Yeah, they were talking about how they're just, chilling behind their fucking giant gate. If you guys don't remember, we're actually just using one part of their fucking base.
Yeah, we're in like their front lobby equivalent.
Yeah.
But the way they talk about themselves, like the members themselves are the gates, and they have like different rules and like different roles, is very interesting. I like how they're talking about consensus, and they're like, and yes, I don't remember what his title was, but I think it was something with a D, but Furugashan, the gate of whatever, despises you as always. I'm just like, wow, okay, we don't hold back here. But it's one of those things where, like, I never asked for this, but I don't mind seeing it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Sion is, doing her calculations, and as good old jolly Sion always does, she levies a prophecy of doom at us at the end. Fires up the mission, tells us to go to Tunguska, and is like, well, it doesn't matter, though, because according to Trismegistus's 2 calculations, they're gonna fucking die. So, whatever. And I'm like, all right, geez, Sion. Could you show a little more compassion, maybe? Probably not, no. Also, joke's on you, I'm not gonna die. I'm gonna win. But then we actually, like, launch our mission.
I'm sorry. This is that moment, Sion, you do not understand. I have the Counterforces credit card. You cannot stop me.
Yeah. So we take to a field mission. I did note that Sion very subtly says that the Novum Chaldea, some of its equipment is down for end of the year maintenance, so we cannot ray shift or zero sail. So we have to physically fly the storm border over there. Which we do. We do an all hands on deck meeting. We don't see them, but we actually hear some Walla Walla from the Chaldea staff.
Mm-hmm.
When we do a flashback to the mission briefing, because they do kind of an in media res thing, right? Like they start with Sion's intro, then it cuts to us flying there, and then it's like flashback to the mission briefing. There's a moment that I love where, speaking of lines that just stick out, Gordolf says Munier's name correctly, and every other staffer is shocked. They're like, shit, it must be serious. He said Munier's name correctly. And Gordolf goes back to not saying his name right later. It has to be on purpose. Speaking of which, another just general note that I've noted is that unlike LB6 and some other circumstances, Foe has no problem riding shotgun with us on this one. I'm curious.
Well,
to
for
see
6, I'm pretty sure it was for Arthurian reasons.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't want to meet Morgan or Merlin, but he did give us the big ditch. This time he does that thing where later, we have to do a fucking combat drop and, hot drop into the LZ, and mid move, Foe is just like, hello, I'm here. Foe.
I appreciate him.
Yeah, Foe, not all the time, but there have been times when Foe has been willing to ride shotgun with us on some bullshit, and good for him. But yeah, so basically the point of our mission is twofold. We've detected in the middle of Siberia, in the region that would be called the Tunguska Forest, we've detected an immense magical energy signature, which was there in small but has been rapidly growing. If it matches up with our beast signature for Koyanskaya, if it completes, Sion says something about it, altering history to lead to the subjugation of the human race as a dominant species on this planet, kind of a thing. And it's real bad news. So we cannot allow a beast to survive, especially when she's personally, done some wrong to us, even if she bailed us out a couple of times. But also, we're using this as a beta test for our Lost Belt 7 solution, which immediately goes wrong.
I knew it was going to go wrong. Never say, yeah, let's use a fuck ton of people. Never say that. It never works. It literally never works.
Hell, fucking LB5. The Counterforce sent a ton of people. It also didn't work. Half those guys didn't even make it in the front door. Actually, it might have been more than half. I don't even know. There's a lot of servants and ley lines that were fucked up. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna do my prediction right now. I'm pretty sure that when we actually make it to LB7, our plan will not work in LB7, despite multiple main story events to pre-prep. We do not seem to be capable of pre-planning around the bullshit of, alternate time-space realities. Because, like, on paper, the plan is pretty sound. They've made modifications to the Black Barrel, so we no longer need to load it with command spells.
Well, if I understand it, it now has an alternate firing mode that does not require.
Yeah, as I said, we don't need to load it that way.
Yeah.
We basically set it to a mode that is physical damage only, not conceptual damage. So for real big shit, we can still go all out, but now it should be easier to fire. And Caldea's new Habitrot is basically our full-time Black Barrel mechanic.
Guardian Spirit, Guardian Fairy. I forgot the exact word.
She may say both. She's definitely at one point says she's a Guardian Fairy of the Black Barrel now. And we are fine-tuning our Sacred Sword, our Holy Sword, but it's not ready yet. So the director and Da Vinci's plan is we figured out something else we could do, which we've never brought up before now. But if we just fire up all of the Stormborders reactors at once, we can just physically transport our Chaldean servants who are always there and fucking throw all of them at the problem. We can keep them manifested outside of Chaldea and have them just leave the boat. So what we're going to do is we're going to fly right up to Tunguska and we're going to blow our ass up. This does not happen. I appreciate the plan, though. It sounds cool, right? Like, they're talking about they have all these servants, like, on standby in the ready rooms and shit. It's cool. It does not work. We penetrate the bubble of Tunguska, and we are instantly hit with an effect similar to what happened in Lost Belt 6, where I think most of you can figure out that its hominid servants are rejected. Humanoid ones. And so, Holmes immediately starts, fucking dying. He actually discorporeates. Habitrot is like, I'm going into spirit mode and I'm hiding in the gun. I'm out. And just dips. Nemo says he feels like shit, but he's both part divine and part normal, so he can ride it out long enough. But humans are fine. Humans and servants that are based on non-human things are okay, which explains, the bonuses and penalties. This, I think, it's not necessarily the first time, but I think it's the first time they phrased it this way. Small Da Vinci is completely fine because technically, while she has a spirit origin of a servant, her core is a living being.
Yeah.
Which means she is unaffected by this effect. Which is good, because otherwise, the shadow border doesn't run so good without her in the tank, in the can. No. We would have fucking died if we couldn't bring her along. So I also, once again, love how this goes, where, Nemo is like, okay, Munier, I'm going to take over piloting. You go. Director, you go. We're opening the hatches. And, you're just like, we're going to emergency launch the shadow border. Get in the pod. I think it's not shown, but it's described that, Nemo Engineer is, grabbing Da Vinci's tube and, wheeling it around, moving it. Yeah. So we're in a bad way, but it's not like how, say, LB5 Atlantis started, right? Where we, launch the Nautilus and we immediately get fucking blown up. It's like, our plan's not working, but we're gonna do it anyway.
Honestly, I feel like that's the plan. That's what happens every single fucking time we enter a Lost Belt. I think with the exception of maybe, let me think here. LB1, we had no idea what the fuck we were doing.
Yeah. The shadow border
LB2
was functional, but we just didn't know anything.
LB2, we get attacked immediately and fucking Sigurd, I think, fucking throws the goddamn shadow border. Wrecked immediately. Yeah,
he causes severe structural damage and incapacitates Holmes for an indeterminate time period.
Let's see here. LB3, I think, was safe, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
LB4...
Though, that was only because the Lost Book King wasn't mad at us. He does steal the shadow border and reverse engineer it halfway through. So we did lose our tech for a little bit.
LB4, I don't remember the beginning, honestly.
LB4, I think, goes perfectly okay until we do the first reset, and then we realize how fucked we are.
LB5, enough said.
Yeah, both times.
LB6, as soon as we get inside, immediately fucked.
Yeah, the technology all turns off, and we have to do a water landing. Though LB6 is interesting in that, 2/3 of the way through, we get our ability back, but that's just because how everything is so fucking fucked up. We can, fly again. Some shit got broked. But yeah, this is another case where like immediately our immediate plan goes awry and we deploy. But we're not alone, you know. We've got Gordolf with us, we got Munier with us. Foe came along. Mash is fine because she's alive, and Da Vinci is all fine because she is technically a living being. We're fine. And on our way down, we find out we have 1+1 in the boat. Ibuki managed to ride along with us, even though she doesn't remember fucking anything. She put all of her brain power into staying manifested and not remembering stuff.
Honestly, I feel like that sounds just like Ibuki Doji.
Yeah.
She does kind of like playing up her playful dead side when she's not in her I am a fucking god mode.
And I think it's fair to note that like that's how she uses the sweater ascension as her like normal sprite, and then when she gets serious, she uses her, you know, more serious sprite. I also like that the game explicitly acknowledges both with text and with playing around with how her sprite is framed when she's actually being 3 fucking meters tall.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of good Ibuki stuff in this so far, and but we're in a bad way. We're not, you know, we're cut off from most of our allies. The storm border can like leave, and they can probably do a run to come back and get us, but that's not going to accomplish our mission. So we're gonna go on ahead and reconnoiter the area like we do, and we run into some weird guys. I just want to say that I knew this mechanic would be like that, but I do. One, I love the strategy tip, right? That on that. The first actual like real boss fight you have in the event, there's a fucking window that's like, hey, BG dubs. Story support Ibuki will have special benefits, so consider that. And also, Habitat will help you out, but only once. They don't explicitly tell you how the timing works exactly, I don't think, but you can figure it out.
No, I was a little confused on it because I did Black Barrel and I was like, when is this supposed to happen? And then the turn starts and like, oh.
Yeah.
Neat.
That said, I fucking love that effect.
Oh, yeah. No, it's great.
Yeah, it's cool. I appreciate the distance we went there. So that's going to be a recurring mechanic, and it's going to be pretty fun. And I hope that we can do more stuff like that for other like future tie-ins, because that's pretty cool to like have basically a 4th unit appear on screen, apply a bunch of buffs to themselves, and then do their NP, you know, for special effect. Pretty cool. So, you know, you resolve those fights, and then we run into our help, who are very thoroughly introduced. We run into Taigong Wong. I appreciate that Foe immediately senses that this is much like how we describe that some characters in Gundam are HR. Taigong Wong is a Merlin. We need to add Abe no Seimei to this game so we can have them form a little club. 3 shady motherfuckers.
Well, we gotta do the Spider-Man meme at that point where everyone's just pointing.
Yeah, that'd be great. It is just a Spider-Man meme. But yeah, so he shows up. He is kind of shifty. I'm not sure about all his story details. We'll probably get into some better chance with a deep dive later. But he kind of, you know, he seems to ping pong back and forth between, yes, I have been, you know, definitely just summoned by the land. I'm a rogue servant. I don't know nothing. And like, I have been foretold of your coming. Interestingly enough, he is the one who is just straight up like, yo, this chick, she's a dodgy. That's why I'm here. I'm very good at that. I'm Taigong Wong. And our other you know, member is Dobrynya Nikic, who says you can call her Dobrynya or Nikic, and Ibuki is like, aha, you're a fun one, Dobrynya Nikic. And then I love that Niki is like, oh, you're a greedy one, aren't you? Both names, huh?
Yeah, I call her Niki.
Yes. That is probably a pretty good diminutive.
She's so cute!
Yes, no, her the art's great. And also, I appreciate how we have to have this conversation of like, are we sure this chick's not a berserker? No. This cat girl is just a meathead. Anyway.
Oh no, when you summon her the final bit of her line is like, hey, what's a writer? And you're just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And she, no, like, just level, like, I was working on leveling her, but I just decided to focus on Taigong Wong because he was the level 91. I was like, alright, I'll just get him out of the fucking way.
Yeah.
And, oh god, no, all her lines are a goddamn treat.
No, it seems great. I'll look forward to maybe rolling one sometime in the next 4 years. Sometime. And I don't know. You know, you never know. I might get lucky with weekly tickets sometime in my period, but probably not. My getting cool on weekly ticket pulls is all over the place, and since I did get Galatea that way, I think my luck for that might be done for the year. We'll see. We'll see what the random number god thinks. But no, it just seems like passively, Nika's is a great cuz she's just like, well, okay, that's cool. I know we're supposed to work together, but I need to know how tough you are.
It's time to
Tamamo's like,
fight.
but we're here to help them. They just told you. And she's like, no, we fight now. And it serves as a great opportunity for both of these brand new characters to show off what they can do, both mechanically and also in lore. Have a lot of fun times. Everybody on our squad is super hyped to see Taigon Wong. Even Ibuki manages to remember him somehow.
She has to do a big thunk though.
Yes. But yeah, it seems like it's a good time, and we'll be getting in more of those. I am curious if any other major NPCs will show up later, because there's the implication that we might have a few more of our non-humanoid servants on backdrop. Though again, they explicitly bring up that like you should be able, even at this distance from the shadow border, to maintain simple servant summoning for a time period.
Gotta let you be able to do your attacks.
Yeah, pull off some moves. Talk about some explanations.
Listen, it's like a FS14's summoning hero spell. Actually, it's exactly like that.
Yeah, I know it is. Working out some shit. Shit, does that mean I should say let Expanse contract, let Eon become instant every time I roll the gacha?
Yes.
Maybe that'll work. But yeah, it's a fun time so far. And I definitely start to feel some of the there's some deeper stuff there. We've been doing a lot of sections starting with some mysterious, first-person narrator who is unnamed talking about some stuff happening. Flashes of light, man's fire. I like, by the way, that of all the weird occult history stuff, the Nasuverse is like, nah, man, mages didn't do Tunguska. The official conclusion of the clock tower is it was a natural phenomena.
Well, I personally think that's fair, because sometimes truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah. I mean, and the Tunguska incident is actually pretty weird. Holmes talks about how he was alive during this time period and would have seen the light because it was fucking bright. But that's I can say without getting into the spoiler territory, that will continue to be an interesting through line of them discussing this event. It's pretty obvious that there is some reason why Koyanskaya picked it as her hideout here, and everybody is like, there must be some reason why she's done it. But we set up our first raid boss, and then we called it an eventide. So we'll get you back with more of these explanations. I don't, we're 30 minutes to raids ish. I don't know, Lucky, if you want to relitigate your comments about the Tamamo Daiji lore on air.
No, I'll actually save that probably for like next week. We'll probably be waiting for the epilogue then, and then other stuff. And we could probably do a deeper lore then.
We can have some deeper conversations.
But no, Lucky did some Tamamo research, and he got mad for various reasons.
Yeah, I at least, how I want to phrase this is, I, on the one hand, very much appreciate that we still have this moment where we think about this and we flashback, and Tamamo is not just like a bonus servant in this event that is very clearly catered to her, but also like she at least gets to speak and like comment on some of these questions we have. But she's not directly involved, and the way I want to say that a lot of Tamamo lore feels, the best way to put it, and I have this discussion independently of what Lucky was about, so it just kind of dovetailed together pretty good. It feels like, for some reason, with Tamamo, we are waiting for a story for this kind of, like, clarification and deep dive on themes that have come up since Extra was written, because I do actually think there's a decent amount of this stuff that's just, hidden away in Fate Extra, and just that hasn't come up again, so we just have to wait for Extra Record, I guess. But my main question is, like, I don't know where and when that moment for that story will be. Would that be an FGO story or event? Are we waiting for Extra Record to come out? Are we waiting for the proposed but not yet forthcoming, Extella sequel that will probably come out next decade at this point, considering how much work on other stuff Nasu keeps heaping on himself? So, like, I don't know. And, like, I appreciate that we don't forget about Tamamo, but I'm just like, God, could we also just, like, actually put Tamamo front and center for a little bit and untangle some of this stuff? Some stuff takes a long time. Like, it took them a long time to get to Mother Draco, right?
Yeah.
They were obviously planning that, and it took them many years to actually get to that point. But, like, there's so much stuff to unpick. And obviously, I know what he's typing about. He's talking about, yeah, Foxtail. Foxtail does exist and is very cool. But also is, that is still like a serialized series. It's not finished yet. So is that what we're waiting on? Are we trying to, like, put this all into one new narrative that we can, read all the way through. So it's a little all over the place. But Lucky, do you have anything other outstanding initial thoughts on Tunguska story stuff so far?
Oh, I'm just getting. No, it's not relevant, and it's very petty of me, so I shall not say it.
Okay. In that case, before we scrimble on out of here, let us then really quick do Fanservice Friday, because again, if we're taking the next week off for Recordifying, we won't be there for the very last Friday of the month, so it's the time to do the Fanservice Friday. The winner by value of a lucky tiebreaker is, speaking of having oops too many writers, is Frau Gauden. So, Frau Gauden, also known as Frau Halle, etc., Hulda, and so on. There's a few different variations that'll come in. I heard of this story as the Frau Gauden version. That's tied to folklore of the Mecklenburg region, which is northern Germany. So it's Germanic folktale. You may have heard the Frau Halle version from the Brothers Grimm, but the basic version of this is that the Frau Gauden is a woman, obviously, because Frau, lady, who is basically leading either the wild hunt or some other similar, parade of spirits. Sometimes she commands, an army of women in some myths and so on. And generally, the story is that she has been cursed into this position somehow. Specifically talking about the, Frau Gauden version, this one occurs, and the reason why she ends up, leading the wild hunt in Eternal Purgatory is because one day, Frau Gauden is just chilling, and she really likes hunting, and at some point, she's just hanging out in her hall, in her HQ, being a Germanic lady. She and her 24 daughters, and again, I don't remember exactly what prompted this conversation, but Gauda just says, it's really rad? Hunting. I would rather hunt forever than go to heaven. And then, as you might expect for a Germanic fairy tale, which I believe, some of our early versions are from, the 11th century or earlier, God says bet, and thus she is cursed to hunt forever, and her daughters are all transformed into hunting dogs which pull her sled, and during the 12 days of Christmas, or the nights, she will visit your home, and if you're lazy or bad, she will punish you, but if you're cool, she'll help you out. Maybe she'll give you a little gifty-do. So she's like Santa Claus, but more metal.
I was about to say, but metal.
Yes, with more dogs. I already think a lot of Santa Claus lore is very Germanic, but this is even more Germanic. And there are various variations there. I can, get everybody take a drink. It's a drinking game cue. I was originally inspired to this some years ago because, among many other tales, Overly Sarcastic Podcast did talk about Frau Gauden in an episode on The Wild Hunt and its many variations. So that is the, basic bitch high level. In my own research into this figure and this folklore, it does kind of seem like, and you'll see this later in some of the skills, that Gauden or Halle or, whatever name you use, was probably some kind of local Germanic goddess of the hunt, who over time, because this happens a lot with Christianization, over time, the stories about her got their edges smoothed out, basically, and ended up being about a formerly human woman who came under some, supernatural circumstance. I don't know if this was necessarily directly Celtic, while it was Germanic, though I think that northern Germany would be the right region for that. But that happens a lot with Celtic mythology. Think of all the Irish myths, which are very definitely about gods, but because they were put down post-Christianization, the, Christian monks writing this have to be these were definitely not gods. They were wizards or fairies or something, but not gods. There's only one god. Definitely, believe me. So, Frau Gauden, writer, lawful neutral. Stats, strength, E. She was just a, normal lady as a servant. Writers don't have to be super strong. Endurance, B. Agility, C. Kind of average. Magic power, D. Luck, D. a lady declaring that she would rather hunt forever than go to heaven and then getting cursed. That feels like kind of a bad luck there.
Yeah.
You said the thing the one time God was paying attention that day. NP C+. Class skills, magic resistance B. Riders inherently get magic resistance, and it does kind of seem like the appropriate thing for someone who may have been associated with a protective deity. Riding A++. Probably can't ride Dragonkin or some other divine beasts, but like when your signature move, your ride as a rider is an unholy sleigh you got that is pulled by your own dog spirit daughters. It's probably pretty high level of riding. That requires some skill. Do some sick tricks. Personal skills, though obviously, like I said, FGO classifies some passives as this way. Divinity D, measure of how much a divine spirit you are. While, it's said that Frau Gauden was a human noble, I talked about this, my own research, there is some scholarly connection that she probably was a, Germanic goddess of winter and hunting known as Holda or Holde. So she has been degraded down to a regular heroic spirit, but has a traces of divinity inside. Other personal skills, Gift of the Huntress, again, would probably make a great tie-in to not that necessarily, I think this servant has to be an SSR equivalent of, like, power level, but could be a tie-in to, like, an SSR around Christmas time. She said to, pay handsomely to mortals who aid her. There's some versions of this myth where she's, like, riding in a carriage, the wheel breaks, she, like, goes to the nearest door and knocks on it and is like, hey, I slipped an axle, can you help me out? If you help her out with her carriage, she hands that person scrap or wood shavings or trash, but in the morning it turns to solid gold kind of a thing, enriching the target. She may also reward you during, the 12 days of Christmas, provide small boons, etc. The way I phrase it is like, allow allies to manifest the equivalent rank C in Golden Rule for a brief period. So mechanically in something like FGO, this would probably be like a targetable battery or NP buff. Maybe a heal. We like to associate gifts with healing, but it could also be like a star weight as well. But definitely like, even though she leads the wild hunt, she's not all a bad lady. She's got some stuff going for her. Pack Hunter C, which I think is what I used for, I forgot King Laocoon for a second, the Werewolf King. Basically, it's like a charisma, like personal leadership and social skills, but focused through the aspect of, leading animals. She is a noble. She had a small estate or, a small country even there. But because she leads the wild hunt specifically, her, ability is to command animals as easily as humans. Her own wild hunt is made up of spirit dogs, which are her own daughters, and the spirits of lost maidens she's taken under her wing. Don't ask me about what that Germanic metaphor is, that if you're, a young lady who disappears into the woods, a nice hunting woman will, adopt her into her pack of wild dogs. I'm not here to interpolate themes. And then the final personal skill, Phantasmal Hunter, A+, very high-ranked skill, because she is the eternal hunter. She claimed hunting was better than heaven, so she has no peaceful afterlife. She has been practicing hunting possibly literally forever since then. In fact, you may have to go to the point of, like, the Skahak defense where, like, technically if folklore is correct, Frau Gauden should still be out there rattling around Germany, but because humanity has been blown up a couple of times, she would have had to have ceased at some point. But got, crazy high hunting skills. She can track, perceive, and take down prey to a supernatural level. Also, even though she is very clearly supernatural, she can disguise herself in her hounds in time of aid. So, she can use an ability similar to espionage to hide her true nature and intents from mortal eyes. Probably like a trait damage up versus beast, and also probably like, crit gen up or star gen up and crit up like espionage does. Perfectly normal things. She's good at hunting phantasmals and spirits. I do have in my notes that she should be armed probably with a boar spear, specifically as kind of her weapon of choice. And then Noble Phantasm, Spirit Black Dog, Frau Gauden's Wild Hunt. So this is her version of the Wild Hunt, is her Noble Phantasm. There's a lot of different Wild Hunt myths. I've talked before about Tamlin, for instance. The actual Tamerlane. One of his Noble Phantasms would be calling the Wild Hunt, but his is very much more the, like, fairy version, where legions of fairy knights come to show you up. This is her power where, all of her daughters agreed that she would rather hunt than claim heaven, and so they are all transformed into spirit hounds. So, when she whips them up, she, calls upon her daughters transformed into hounds, which are like black dogs. We know very much, quite a lot about black dogs now. They are a type of, fairy nature spirit who are associated with crossroads and thunders. She can summon her daughters as familiars to scout places, hunt places, enter buildings without permission, where the spirit dog itself can act as a blessing or curse. This is again in the myths. Sometimes she'll just leave a ghost dog with you, and like you just have to put up with it, because if you try to fuck with the ghost dog, it will eat you. You will be eaten. Do not fuck with ghost dogs. Yeah, that would actually be another good interpretation, that she's a counter guardian because she just made an oath to the world to hunt forever. And, this could, not that I would say necessarily she's cool enough to qualify as like a grand rider, but definitely has some, counterforce interpretations.
I don't know. I think someone who gotta be a great interpretation of the Wild Hunts. The great qualification for Grand Rider. They have to lead the Wild Hunt at some point.
That could be a good one, yeah. Or some of their other equivalents, like, the Night Parade of 1,000 Demons and stuff. There's a lot of Wild Hunt myths.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, basically she's got a semi-unlimited repertoire of just summoning spirit dogs familiar, which would be very similar to some of the, black dog guys we have seen both in anime, like appearing in the bonus, stories of Case Files, the little prologues there, and also saw them in LB6. Also, by the way, it would be my headcanon that if Frau Gowden and Bargus were to meet, Gowden would just be like, extra daughter, miscounted, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, no,
Just
I'm about to say this. Immediately adopt her.
Yeah, she's just like, oh, yes, okay, yes. I didn't, didn't recognize you at first, daughter, but you're here. And Bargus would just be like, what? Huh? Nope, you're being adopted. Do not resist.
I imagine Frau Gowden as kind of a middle-aged kind of looking character. Big on that.
Yeah, I mean, in the legend, she has 24 daughters who are all old enough to go, yeah, Mom, hunting's cool. Hunting's rad. Way more rad than heaven. So, like, clearly she has been around a little bit. Even if we don't include the Germanic goddess parts. But when she goes full true name, she summons the massive swarm of hunting hounds who can run as swift on air as on land. She summons up her, demonic carriage, which appears in a cold winter night because, again, the Wild Hunt is almost always thunderstorms, blizzards, etc., terrible conditions. And then just, runs them down, strikes with the power of a storm, can even hunt, heroic spirits as if they were prey. And because she's chosen to hunt eternally, her Wild Hunt will triumph over demonic beasts and phantasmal species. So, probably AoE, but you could even pitch it as single target, just, the single target of the hunt. But there's room there. Again, opportunities for trait damage, and you could even double up because, like, Taigon Wong does do that. Like, he has both a skill to raise his damage versus Divine, and his NP is inherently damaging to Divinity. So you could do some double up to really strike him. It is the Wild Hunt with all the storm and the dogs and the barking and stuff. So, like, applying Skill Seal directly or applying Terror, the chance to stun at the end would probably be a good vibe because it is super scary. But yeah, no, this is just a fun little legend about a lady with a lot of daughters who turns into a lot of dogs, and she's just out there hunting. According to myths, if you are you're out there in Germany and you hear fucking winding and howling and wandering dogs and scrabbling sounds and thunderbolts, that might be the Wild Hunt. Frau Gowden could be out there right now. Just a fun little one. I imagine that, like, Ascension-wise, probably start, pretty simple, like, Cloak, like I said, uses a boar spear probably as her primary attack implement. Though animations would probably involve, summoning various ghost dogs to do things. And, as we rank up, probably get more interesting and elaborate. You could probably even at those higher ascensions see some of that, divinity in there with, like, maybe a very nice cloak or robe or other raiment. I don't know if we would, show the carriage or the sled all the time, but it could definitely show up in some attack animations and even as part of the Ascension, like how Taigon Wong has his dragon deer horse in the backdrop of Ascension 2, which is also somehow a tapir. We didn't mention that, but there's a tapir in this story.
It likes carrots.
Yes, I also want to note that Foe meets a tapir and immediately mascot to mascot communication occurs. It's like clown to clown communication, but cuter. But yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff here, and like I said, I fucking love Wild Hunt myths in general, because there's a lot of iterations. Sometimes they even say, old One Eye himself leads the Wild Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
So we're having a fun time. But that is that, and we're at over 2 hours of recording time. We're about 5 minutes till raids go live. I did put some what's up topics in here, but we don't have to hit them up if we want to make sure that we're able to get our raid setups going. I admit most of what I have to talk about is either writing and running Singularity War stuff. Episode 2 out now. I've been power washing a lot of power washing. The game is
everybody.
the game is
we got 5 minutes till raid.
That's a reminder for all of you again. But Power Wash Simulator is just a great time destroyer.
Dude, I put on audiobooks and play Power Wash. It is the most zen experience.
Yeah, it's the perfect listening to something game, at least for me, and I, like Lucky and some others, because there's no, I mean, there is some reading and there's some implied lore in the game, but for the most part, like, there's no story thing for me to think about. I don't have to like process these characters and understand this stuff. It's just like, there is dirt, remove the dirt. And it's just a great way to, like I said, obliterate time. Like, because it's not like, they're not short projects, but it's very easier for you to just zen in and out and, do the work, right? And the saves are great. And you brought this up as something you really like, and I've heard other people really like. But when you're done, the time lapse, ooh, so chef's kiss. Love to see it. So yeah, that's what I do as my current idle time when I don't have enough time. Like, I'm grabbing something to eat, or I'm doing something else to kill time while I'm waiting for like a video to brew or upload. Is I do a lot of power washing. But I've been hitting very hard on my Final Fantasy 14.
Yep.
Just like I mentioned before, finished 5.0, this week on the stream. We weren't sure we would, but we did. And like I said, that in addition to, doing other stuff like leveling the Arcanist related classes that I've been working on, I finally hit my my 50 the other night. Gotta catch up on them class quests. But like, I know I don't always react the strongest in the moment, but definitely had some very, very high vibes and hype going through that ending. And of course, you guys keep gassing me up when I'm like, wow, I don't know how, how people say that this follow-up stuff is better. And you're like, oh, just you wait, buddy. Don't even worry about Endwalker. We got to get through patches. And I'm like, wow, okay, all right.
I hope we're not, oh, God.
I don't think you're overhyping it. Like,
yeah,
everybody says that, like, Shadowbringers is very strong, but you guys clarified to me when I asked about it that, like, it's much more towards the ending. I think that's part of how Shadowbringers works, is that, like, it's got a very strong intro and a very strong ending. Most of the meat of it is very normal for a 14X pack, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. It's very getting location to location.
Yeah. And kind of like reintroducing you to all your friends and bringing them together and like, that kind of stuff. But they have perfected their formula of the 1-2 slamma jamma, and the vibes they have for that ending zone into the last dungeon, into the last trial is like, damn, what a setup. And it's really interesting too. I went back and did all the blue quests for like Aether Currents. That's like, I'm glad they put those there for that extra lore building. It's very cool stuff. And like I said, I've been listening to Who Brings Shadow constantly since that night. It's a great track, and it's like 7 minutes long. I even, like, to kind of crystallize my own thoughts, went back and watched some other people like react to it. And so I'm like, yeah, no, this is, I think this conclusion is gonna live like rent free in my head forever. It's really good.
You see, and like, again, this is like that Hypetron. Like, this is then us, like, anyone who's beat Endwalker be like, oh, just wait till you get to the conclusion of Endwalker. Because Shadowbringers, while it definitely keeps going up, it has major, dips. Like, when you first get to Crystarium, you go, you have to go do all the stuff. You have to go meet people. You have to go do stuff. And Endwalker, you don't really do that. You go to new locations, but it's always an escalation. Like, there's a bait and switch early in the Endwalker that gets everybody. Me and Loth were talking about it with others. Just doing the first trial is just like, oh fuck, and then you get to the second trial, oh fuck, and then third trial, oh fuck. It's
spicy.
It's spicy. It's fucking spicy. I guess I will agree that with people that the post Endwalker MSQ is probably not as good as actual. But I will say that the post MSQ for Shadowbringer is actually very good.
Yeah, no. That to me is like the crazy part is like, okay, so they delivered a very strong expansion. Also, by the way, it's 11 p.m. Get ready for
Get in
everybody
there!
struggling to log in. And we'll wrap up here soon, so all our patrons can go, and I also can like do raids while
Pull
I
out my
edit this
phone
audio.
now.
Let's see if I have server trouble logging in. It's been a long time since I've had a slow connection. Oh no, I logged in pretty instantly. All right, maybe they've been beefing up those servers. But yeah, that's I feel like is the crazy part to be like, okay, this is a very iconic conclusion. It's great stuff. Powerful slamming and jamming. Ooh, 6 million QP also.
Nice.
Love that QP. Give me that juice.
Total assault.
But yeah, like that's where I'm like, okay, so they wrote this thing. No, are we glitched? Oh, I think we're bugged. We have no lives. It's over already. Damn.
They were that quick. 1 minute, instant kill.
I'll actually I'll wait a little bit to see if they work on some of that stuff and patch it up. But yeah, because we seem to have bought something. Well, you can hear us hit it in real time. But yeah, like I said,
I'm tempted not to actually do this final mission.
If that's the final battle, I'm not gonna hit it just because like I don't want to futz it up. We'll see if there's an issue shortly. But like I said, the wild thing is that like Shadowbringers does, while again leaving those trailing plot threads to get into in future content. And I can say that I did do the double secret, not a blue quest. Shadow Walk with Me as kind of like the coda to all those role quest stories. Off stream, and like they do so much to wrap up these things, but leave those threads behind. But then everybody is like, "Oh, but wait till you hit those patches," and I'm like, "Wow, okay, I genuinely believe that this story will be worth what people are selling me. I am just shocked that they can keep hitting those moments, and like, I don't think it should come as a surprise to people that, that people aren't as into the patch content for Endwalker, because what we're setting up anyway is we've got to like reset the stakes a little bit, right? Like we've been trending up and up and up and getting more intense on these things, and I can only assume that like it is called Endwalker, that like Endwalker finds that natural next step to take over Shadowbringers, which is already super intense and high stakes. While obviously Dawntrail is not going to be the summer vacation that it's necessarily billed as, they've shown us the picture of the Eliminator already. Like, there's going to be some stuff, but it will hopefully be, a new thread of narrative, so we have to, like, ratchet back stakes and kind of reset everybody's expectations. So it makes more sense for post-Endwalker MSQ to kind of be at that kind of reset curve and start on that process until we fork into Dawntrail. That said, the Dawntrail hype is very explosive. Let me see if I can pull up the countdown to the Tokyo Fan Fest, because it's soon. Tokyo Dome.
Like 12 days?
Yeah, it's the 7th and 8th, I believe. So that is 1 week, 7, 2 weeks, 14. Yeah, it's a little more than 12 days. But we're just over 2 weeks out. Like this Sunday, I think, will be the 2-week mark, which is crazy because like that means we're gonna get like even more fuller trailer. We're gonna finally see what the second new class is, and we will hopefully get some information on a lot of other stuff that like the squad hasn't been able to bring to bear, which is gonna be crazy, and it's gonna be really cool to be kind of part of that. While I'm like, I'm truly feeling it now, Mr. Krabs. I'm in it. I forgot the joke, and this will make no sense to people out of context, but the joke I should have said, and will definitely be in the description of next week's stream, is I joked about us going Super Saiyan, but the actual thing I should have said is, I'm 2 guys now. Like, we're doing stuff. It's great.
People in our public chat they're not losing their mind, but there is a lot of what?
Yeah, they're just
going on.
What are we doing? Like, people are showing up to verify that it's actually happening. Yeah, it's gonna be wild. We'll have to give you some follow up on this because it's probably not going to be addressed right away by the time we do finish the episode. But yeah, so like that's I'm all in. I'm, as usual, once I'm done editing and stuff, I will probably go to log in and play more 14.
I'll probably join you
because, like I said, I haven't actually I've gotten to level 50 as summoner and scholar, but haven't actually done those quests. I need to get a shirt. But yeah, there's a lot of fun times. You should check out the stream if you want to see some of that and some of our future stuff. Because it's not just the story stuff, but the community stuff is also really fun. I love that we like while you guys were waiting for me to finish cutscenes, it turned into like spontaneous posing party, and we were able to like hit an album cover and some other weird shit, and that kind of just like nonsense futzing around is just that's part of the fun of doing this with friends.
Yep.
But yeah, okay, I think that's all I got to say on that stuff for now. Oh, though, in addition to several other things, to let everybody know, if you're interested in that, I have unlocked the twinning. I found that quest and have gotten to the point of unlocking, so we can literally start there next week. Get ready to jam, everybody. But yeah, that's all I got to say on that. Lucky, anything you've been doing through the week as we wait for clarification on this raid situation?
No, unfortunately, it's been kind of a boring week for me. Thinking about, been chewing through audiobooks, been playing Power Wash Simulator. Honestly, I have not actually been on Power. I've been meaning to get back into Cyberpunk to finally finish it up, but again, I've been slow on that. Haven't watched I'm behind on my anime too, and I haven't got the Blue Eyed Samurai. Like, I'm really gonna try and like buckle down at some point, like maybe tomorrow, and just lie down and not exist and just watch shit. Like, I'm behind several weeks on a lot of anime, and we're quickly reaching the new core here. It's officially winter, by the way. Winter solstice was yesterday. It is now the cold time.
Yeah, I think that's I don't usually go for New Year's resolutions, but as we approach the New Year, it seems to time I'm like, damn, I need to watch more stuff. Like, I need to watch more anime and also catch up on more TV. Like, I completely forgot this, but apparently the Disney Plus Percy Jackson TV series is out now, and it's getting good reviews. Because it's much closer to the books. And I'm just like, damn, that's another thing that I just need to put in my back pocket.
So I'm trying to think. Did I do anything of note or interest this week? I'm still reading the Sovereign Verse series, or listening to it on audiobooks. I actually joined their Discord, and I've talked to the author a little bit. They seem a dude. But I've been working through those books. That's probably my major literary thing here. Been playing Nikkei because they have their Christmas event going on right now. Been trying to pay attention to FGO because I don't want to fall behind on these raids that are not happening right now. Awkward. Like I said, the Steam Winter Sale did start. I have bought 3 games, 2 I cannot talk about in polite company. The last being Dave the Diver, which I'm actually playing right now, and I do actually really enjoy it. It is a amalgamation and chaos of so many things. It's kind of amazing. And I love Bancho to death. He's amazing. He is the best. I might pick up a few more games before it's over. Aaron did tell us that what was it, Void Crew? I think it's called Void Crew. Is on sale as well, and watching
it was Remy's video.
Remy Down Under. I was like, it's not Russian Badger, it's not Rubik's.
It's the other R name, I know.
It's the other R name. And that looked fun, so I might pick that up. I keep eyeing Rogue Trader. I'm like, because this is the problem I realized that I had with Kingmaker and Wrath. It's like, I know those systems, and I always feel stifled by them by doing whatever system that Rogue Trader is. Since I actually know nothing about the system and nothing about the lore and nothing about anything, I feel like I could actually do something and not feel like I am crippling myself in doing so.
Yeah.
So going into something, I am more comfortable going, like, I know it's weird for me, but I am more comfortable going into things blind and learning as I go than going in with pre-established knowledge and being all like, I can't make this work, right at the outset.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss. So I'm still eyeing Rogue Trader. Oh god, I have Baldur's Gate 3, and I really should play it. I do genuinely like all those awards they got. Fucking deserved, but god, it's a hell of a game. Like, I'm one of those people who want to run around, touch everything, and explore every single possibility right then and there. And Baldur's Gate doesn't let you do that. Not in a bad way, but because, like, there's, like, so many flags and things that if you do things in certain orders, you will, like, not, like, lock off other things, or if you can do things if you're a certain race or a certain class, or all this other stuff. So I like in the initial like Baldur's Gate 3 run, I kept making new characters and going through stuff and like seeing just the weird shit that could happen. And I'm all like, oh my god, I can't keep doing this.
And this is why not a lot of people got to the third act of the game. Because I don't know if that's the intended game design. I feel like that is a story I've heard from a lot of people. Like, I know that there are people who start like new runs just for memes. Like XP to Level 3, the D&D channel that does all those did all those Fireball meme videos, among other actual, like D&D related content. The host of that channel, he's super into Baldur's Gate 3. He's been doing some stuff like, Baldur's Gate, but chat makes my decisions. But he did do a special where he got in character as the wizard, because the guy who runs the channel is the Fireball Wizard. He did that as a run as Baldur's Gate 3, and I haven't watched that video through, but apparently it was a really weird, not necessarily a fun time, because wizards be doing, the thing.
Yeah, and again, that's the other problem with like Baldur's Gate 3. It's like it's based off of 5th edition stuff, and it's a little weird sometimes because people will pick the build that makes them the most fucking effective. This is why you get a lot of paladins in fucking Baldur's Gate 3. I think actually Larian Games released the stats of just how paladins were the overwhelming majority in the game. And I'm just like, I'm kind like, sure, that's cool and stuff, but I want to like
Hexadins are pretty good.
Like I want to fucking like I like being a rogue and I like being a warlock and all that kind of stuff.
I'd probably do a paladin run myself, but that's because I know it sounds weird for me, but I like paladins. I also I decently like how 5th edition has done a couple of different variations of paladin. I don't know what kind of subclasses are available in Baldur's Gate, but I'm also
it's pretty robust, by the way.
I'm the guy who's done like for Dragon Age Origins, for instance. I'm that guy who did every origin. I've played that game through from literally every origin you can do as like all the different classes and subclass combos. Like that's I'm totally willing to experiment with all the options they give me. I can also see myself making a fuck ton of alts in the future. I will get around to Baldur's Gate 3 eventually.
Yes, I am kind of a completionist. I'm the kind of person who, when I play Final Fantasy 14 and I'm doing a new expansion, I do all the side quests before continuing main story. I never leave an exclamation point behind. Never. Like, everyone be talking about how they're just trying to rush through story. I'm over here picking turnips for the little old lady down the street. But yeah, so I'm still eyeing Rogue Trader because it does seem fun. And you can romance a sister of battle. I'm just like, this is important to me for reasons.
Well, you can't, but we're waiting on the mod.
I thought you could.
Alter talked about that. No, I believe Alter's lament was that you can't romance her. But if the mod is already out, I don't know. That's what I'm waiting on. Yes, I know what I'm about. I believe she is not one of your romanceable companions out the gate.
Oh, I cry. Well, this went down and down. Okay, hang on. Let me.
Better you be disappointed now before you make the purchase.
Hang on. Romance. Rogue Trader, romance.
This is definitely going to be something that completes. Thank you, Internet. People are definitely asking this question. We're asking the important ones right now. We are 15 minutes in, and I believe raids are still fuckled.
Oh, yeah, apparently, you cannot romance the... Weird! I thought you could.
I'm trying to remember. I think most of the romanceable companions were declared ahead of time. Not that I was paying super attention, but I'm gonna wait on that mod.
Let's see here. Every romance option and 40k. Okay, it looks like there's 5 here. No, I'm not gonna turn off my ad blocker because then you're gonna drown me in ads and sell my fucking data.
No thanks, buddy.
If you weren't selling my data, I consider it, but you're selling my data. Don't you lie to me.
If this splash screen is all 5, that is a pretty bold selection.
Let's see here.
It's your navigator.
Who are these people? I think I misunderstood, and I saw one character, and I thought they were the Sister of Battle, and I was wrong. I am a fool!
Heinrich's the Inquisitor, looks like. What is? And of course, you can romance the Space Elf. It's possibly the only other thing that the workers were like, yeah, we got that. But things will be in there.
Oh well.
But yeah, like I said, probably time to wrap up the show. We're at like 2.5 hours already, and we're just gonna probably be sitting around waiting for some updates. There will probably be, I'm suspecting e-maintenance perhaps, and hopefully some apologems.
Doesn't look like it's turned off yet. I'm going to close FGO and reopen it. It's been 15 minutes. It's been 20 minutes. They've had to have noticed by now.
Yeah, people are sending emails and stuff. I guess the question is just like, now it's the question of like, okay, shit, something's broke. It's going to be the snap decision making process of how do we fix this. I think some people have already theorized in our Discord that they may have accidentally used the main interlude version, which has no raid battles. It just goes straight to the final fight, or some other error. But definitely, now that this will be relevant to anybody listening to it by tomorrow, hopefully. But if you want to do raid grinding, do not do the quest already, because that seems to move on to the next one naturally with no errors. So that is probably something you're not going to get back.
Oh, if you do actually go through it?
Yeah, people have apparently done it, and they get to section 5. So like, I don't think they can rotate it back.
Oof.
They may be able to do like a big rollback. They were able to help people with like disappearing servants and CEs and shit, but like there's no guarantee that if you complete the story section, you won't be like past the flag. So don't do that. We're just gonna have to chill until they respond. I can say, actually, I'll type it as well, but I can say I can drop like an at here or something. But yeah, it probably means we should wind down the show with all that beautiful breaking news. So's. Keep your eyes peeled for a few things. There won't be a Monday stream on Monday because it's Christmas Day, and we don't need to get into the Yuffie DLC that badly. But there should still be a couple of other normal streams throughout that week post Christmas. So keep your eyes peeled. Make sure you're looking at us and your ats and your bells and your whatnot, and consider dropping into our Discord to get news as it breaks. But yeah. Anything else, Lucky?
No, I think that's it for me.
Okily dokily. Then I will do my usual outro. It goes something like this. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to give us a like. Leave a comment in the comments down below if you want to comment about some stuff that we said, any other things. You can also join our Discord. Link is in the video description and on the channel page. Make sure you are subbed to the channel to get videos like this one and others, including the Wanted for Taigan Wong, which is out now. Actually, a surprisingly short Wanted, because without like going into the spoiler zone, there wasn't really a lot to add to the lore segment in Fate. And honestly, his kit's pretty straightforward. Most of the video is history, because he's a popular character. But check it out. Make sure you've got the bell rung so you always know when we're posting new videos. Consider joining channel memberships for membership badges and emotes. And like we said at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon for audio versions, little as $1 a month or $10 a year. We're about to start a new year, so it could be a good time to lock in your annual membership. Get access to some videos early at higher levels, polls like the Fan Servant Friday, and at our higher tiers, you can listen to us record Let's Talk FGO live every week that we do it, and other things, not just when we decide to do live streams. That's everything for me, so good night, everybody. Let's all, hope that this raid situation gets resolved without too much trouble, and without too much of poor intern Kun, dying in the server fire as he tries to frantically rewire all the wires. And, we'll be back for more soon. Good night, everybody. And preemptive, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you.